All right. We are running a few minutes behind, but we are going to get rolling. I'm going to see the back of my head for a second while I get this set up. Steve's here. Dedication. Steve, one of these years, we got to get you to present at Online Seller Cruise. No more hiding behind that rookie shield. You're pushing a decade into space. You're putting up great wins. Time for us to light a fire. Watch, Steve's going to drop now from the chat. I'm trying to like corner him into speaking. Let's see. I got this set up. We got this. Oh. Wow. Javon. How are you? It has been a while. Okay, let me send this. What am I looking at? Right here. Yeah, I'm running a bit behind today. Guilty. Yeah, guilty.
John Lazar told me to come over.
John Lazar. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Good, and yourself?
Good.
Yeah, I'm just getting set up now. John's amazing. No, you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I had a little trouble getting here.
Bruce is usually late though. Bruce is the guy behind you. How do you know John?
So he comes to Brickell Toastmasters and he's over there and we work over there.
Yep.
That's where I met. I know you know him from the Doral Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are like officers there.
Yeah. Well, I just got made an officer there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the VP of membership. So
That's the position he had before, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah. You'll soon learn enough.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing mentor too. He's a great person. I really like John. Do you know if he's coming today?
He told me he wasn't. We met earlier today. He has something else, bigger work to do.
Okay.
But next time he's coming, next week, everyone's coming.
Cool. I met his daughter
You have?
yeah, you met her?
I haven't met her yet.
She's really cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, she's one of those people you meet and you're like, damn, I hope we stay connected. Yeah. Yeah, she's really cool.
Yeah, she's I think with her girlfriend in someplace up north, Florida.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't met her yet.
Do any exercises?
Yeah, she's really cool.
Next week. Next week, I guess I'll meet her like 5.
And she's sharp. Okay.
And everything goes to, yeah, you get the strength in your back. I know that's good. I can say imagine.
See, I would report.
What's going on next door? It's Carlos.
Where? No, nothing. Just Tom. The door was open and Tom's just sitting in there talking to Mariteri, but no event. We do have a full day today, though. We have this event, and then we wrap up at 3:30, and then at 4 p.m. we have our YouTube meetup. So, and of all days, I decided to double the cardio in the morning and like sneak in a Saturday workout, and I'm dead. Okay. go to Ecom. Accept. Okay, we're gonna have standing, sitting, presenter mode. How's it going? Hey, long time, brother.
Long
Good.
time no see. How you been, man?
Good, brother. Good.
This is my friend Louis.
Sorry to hear that. The whole friend thing.
Hey,
No.
man. Well, look at
Try,
that.
man. Trying to keep up with you.
I'm always giving you love, man.
I know. I see that. Thank you, brother. Okay.
Another new spot.
You haven't been here?
No.
Oh, okay.
I told you I wanted to check it out. Big. I like this.
Yeah, trying to keep more space here, so we.
I know it makes sense. Good idea. You need help with anything?
No, man, just me fighting with tech.
Can I look around?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And they're recording a podcast in that room, so you won't be able to get in. And then in the conference room, they're just chatting, but you can walk in and check it out. Yeah, check it out. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, Javon's saying, well, link that was sent out wasn't working. What link? From Amazon to Ecom. Great to see the community still here. Started selling myself. Started an agency a few years back. Oh, there goes that. Okay, I think we're good.
I usually, someone asks you to prove like your sales. You're not really, but what I would do is I'd blur out a lot of the aspects of the Amazon like stuff and I'd show them that one number and I would just tell them that. I don't know if you would do that too.
I used to do that for different things, and now what I do is if I'm working with a brand or anybody and they're like, we'll work with you if we see this, I tell them to take a long walk off a short pier. Because every time I've done it, that's been like the opening thing of I'm a jerk and here's the other ways that I'm gonna be a jerk. And I'm just like, yeah, take a walk. Yeah, and usually when I say take a walk, they come back and I charge them double.
Do you
Yeah.
ever screen share with them or are you afraid they're gonna take a screenshot?
I don't give any screen share with them. If they were willing to do a screen share with me on their metrics, I mean, we could talk about it, but they ain't, and neither would I.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've never,
They.
Because they all racing down here.
Put one here, and I'll put one here because you know where to toss it. All right, we're gonna get started, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on the patience. Bearing with me on the patience. Bearing with me on the time. I've been saying repeatedly all day, I didn't work out on Thursday and I'm trying to hit 5 days a week, and my trainer's like, we'll make up for it on Saturday, and I'm like, that's great, I'm gonna have a pump, I'm gonna get in here and be full of energy, and he just completely juiced me today. He calls it a potpourri workout, which is, he just randomly grabs a bunch of different stuff and we just hit it. And then doubled my cardio, so if I seem a little off on energy, that's all it is. Some new people, I'm Carlos. I've been selling full-time. This is an Amazon meetup, by the way, Wizards of Ecom. I've been selling full-time on Amazon for 16 years. And during that time, I've made a ton of mistakes. In the early days, got my account suspended and just the complete spigot was turned off on all my revenue. And then I heard this cool word called diversification, and it sounded like something that smart people do. So I just went all in on that and never looked back. So I have a lot of other random businesses like dance studios and car washes, like all this craziness now, which is probably like an unhealthy mix. But when some people hear it, they're like, wow, I want to do that. And I'm like, no, I'm trying not to do that. But that's where it stemmed from. This meetup group started, we're going to have our 11-year anniversary in August. And it started just because I wanted to meet up with other sellers and learn. At that point, I'd been selling for 5 years. And I had some wins, but it was very like, you're always wondering like what's gonna happen next, an algorithm change, anything. And you just wanna get better. So we started this. I learned a ton from people in the group then and now. And I also in the process realized I absolutely love getting up here. I don't know if it sounds bad, but it's like it's a boost in my energy. It like, if you could share, if I have something that I can share that's gonna help you get unstuck or anything like that, it leaves feeling really good. I'd say the majority of my people that I'm friends with, associate with, or everything now at this point stem from this group. We have these in-person events every Saturday. We also have an advanced entrepreneur breakfast on Fridays where you have to verify that you're selling in excess of $1 million a year to get into the process of getting into that. If you do meet that criteria, feel free to reach out to me and we can start that process. It's free to attend. I bring some really good empanadas there. I will say in the advanced one, we're a little looser. Like here, we don't do politics, we don't do religion, we're not jerks to each other in there either, but we're really coloring in the lines here, you know what I mean? Like everyone, we want this to be a cool, safe, fun place to be. It's a sales-free environment. I'm not gonna sell you anything. There is no go to the back of the room and buy a course, there's none of that. In the advanced one, you might walk in there and we might be going all in about half the side venting about our current president and the other half not venting. So it's a little looser. And we talk about something, we might not hit on Amazon, but we might be talking about just parts of the business that start becoming a lot more important when you go beyond, how to pack your first box and send to FBA. That's really the difference. But if you're watching on this, by the way, this stream here, this is a camera, it's not catching you. It's for people to watch on a live stream. But if anybody here on the stream feels like that's a good fit for them, you reach out. We have an annual event called Online Seller Cruise, which our next one is, I should know the date, but it's either the last week. Do you remember the date, Bruce?
I think it's February 1st.
Yeah, it's like February 1st, like either the last week of January or the first week of February. We're gone for a week on a ship with a lot of workshops, a lot of presentations, and Carnival knows how to party. I don't know how to schedule fun stuff, so I know how to schedule like the workshops and like the learning stuff, and then Carnival takes care of the rest. It's a family-friendly event, so if you want to bring your significant other who may, like mine, hate everything about my business and e-commerce and everything like that, totally come with the kids. Maybe what a lot of people do is when the excursions happen, we don't have stuff planned, and you can just go off with your significant other or family then. But really great event. I believe this is our 8th year doing it. And you can get the details for that at onlinesellercruise.com. We have 2 podcasts, which unlike Amazon, I can ask you for a 5-star review and it's not manipulating anything. I'm a seller online, but I'm like a content marketer, I'd say at heart. And I will tell you that creating audio first content on a podcast, it is one of the hardest mediums to grow. Think about the last time you just searched for something because you were searching for a link to a podcast on that thing. That's not how it works. Very difficult to grow. So the other part that's hard of it is because it's so difficult to grow, and I've been doing this now for 6 years, is when somebody gives you feedback and they're like, hey, I heard the show on blank, I can carry that feel goodness for a year. So it helps you soldier through another year. When you hear some feedback, even if it's bad feedback, like if somebody says, hey, your audio's fading out at the end of the thing, I know you listened. Like that is great feedback because harder than creating podcasts is listening to yourself on the podcast. So I don't go back and listen to my episodes. So if something went wrong on that episode, I don't know, because I'm not gonna my vanity has not reached that level where I listen to myself on a podcast in a car. So any feedback you can give is great. Reviews do matter in getting the limited exposure we can. So if you listen to podcasts on Apple or Spotify, I'd appreciate it. The podcast is called Wizards of Ecom. We have one in English and one in Spanish. They're not translations of each other, totally different hosts. I host the English one, and Raul, who's recording in that room right there right now, a podcast, Raul and Alexis are the hosts for the one in Spanish. What other announcements do we have? I got a little organized so I can make sure I don't miss anything. Amazon Influencer Program. It's become a hot topic through these meetups just because it's such an easy way to make money, and I usually don't use the word easy and making money in the same sentence. But without going too deep into it, what it is you're able to set up an account and just record something like, I love this Prime water, I like it better than the cherry, makes me feel hydrated afterwards. Stop, upload it to Amazon, and now anytime somebody buys that product and watches your video first, hopefully you do a better video than that, but like as soon as somebody watches your video and they buy the product, whether it convinced them to buy or not, Amazon pays you a commission of that sale plus anything else they have in their cart at the time. I don't think this is something that's gonna be around in 5 to 10 years, but right now it's a great way, a great easy way to make money. If I was starting, it would 100% be taking about 30 to 40 hours a week of my time so I could grow my capital, because I didn't have anything that easy at the time. But anyhow, the sales on that one are surging stronger than ever. We're seeing like products that weren't getting any commissions are now getting commissions. We only do it in a very small way just because time's sake and everything else that I'm doing, and because I don't want to get up here and recommend you go do something that we're not doing. Otherwise I'd be a hypocrite. So like I dabble in it just enough so that we could put up, I think our best month was $3,000 a month. Several other people are getting $10,000, $15,000 plus a month. But we have 600 videos up over the course of 2 years. If I was treating this like a business and like these other people do, I'd be putting up 10 videos a day. I'm obviously, if you do the math on mine, like we're putting up a few a week. Not even. So,
How long are your videos?
depending on how brave I felt in the thing or how calm.
You don't even show yourself, right?
I do. I just did the one where I didn't show because without going too deep into it, I know when it comes to video, a lot of people's fear is, oh my God, I gotta show my face. Or like for my wife, I think she's beautiful with or without makeup, but I am aware of the difference between if I wanted to review this product, I just roll out of bed, I set the product, I set the camera, I just start talking about it. And it could look like I just roll out of bed. My wife has a ritual that she does. There's wardrobe, there might be wardrobe changes, there's hair, there's all this other stuff. So like, does she need to do that? No, nobody's telling her to do it, but she feels obligated to do that. So there's a lot of excuses when it comes to showing up on video. So I'm just trying to emphasize first that you don't have to be out on video. But what's happening is like, before I met, I'll just use this shirt as an example because I'm always wearing them. These long sleeve black Columbia shirts. I used to wear nothing but basketball jerseys. I think you remember me from back then with the basketball jerseys, but like all I wore was basketball jerseys and gym shorts. And my wife eventually just said, you look like a delinquent and you're going out there to do business. And like a homeless delinquent, walking through the parking lot, you hear everybody's like door locks click. And she's like, you need to get something long sleeve. She wanted me to do this like polo thing. And I was like, that's not happening. So I saw somebody who was fat and it looked like it was being worn comfortably. And I was like, that looks really comfortable. I like that look. So I bought it. Now, I didn't see that online, but because I saw somebody else that I could kind of identify myself with, I was like, you buy it. So that's why the Amazon Influencer Program works. And if your face is not on it, I think you lose some of that, right? So if you're just doing a video of a Columbia shirt hanging on a hanger, I don't think it hits the same. The person might jump to the next video to watch it, and then that person gets the commission, not you. I think it's a better connection when you show up. I know people that are doing really, really well. Like by that I mean in excess of $5,000 a month, and they don't show up on video. You pick your poison there. Let me, the sponsors that you see, or wow, I didn't even know you're seeing that screen, but the sponsors you were seeing on the screen, or if you're watching on the stream, and some of the banners, you know, behind us, this would not be possible without our sponsors, or at least as elaborate as you see. We wouldn't have a dedicated location. We wouldn't have snacks. My wife would not let me subsidize this for this long and give up Saturdays. If it was up to her, everyone would pay $50 to $100 a ticket to come in here if she's giving up her Saturdays for 11 years. So the sponsors we work with, we say no to more sponsors than we say yes. So the ones that we do have, I'm not saying just jump ship from whoever you're working with and go work with them, but I will say they're very good, or I wouldn't be working with them. And you know, they contribute. They pay something for us to be able to put that together. So if you liked the empanadas or the pastelitos and all that there, those are, you know, Gatita empanadas and e-commerce Chris empanadas and Avasc empanadas. So like, we all work together to do this. Otherwise, trying to sustain a free meetup group with a lot of overhead is not sustainable. What other announcements do I have? I'm trying to rip through these so we can get into our beginner hour. Oh, TikTok. Similar to the Amazon Influencer Program, or the TikTok Creator Program, where you can talk about a product on video on TikTok and link it to somebody else's TikTok storefront where you don't have to have a product or anything. People doing that are making a disgusting amount of money. So since the Amazon Influencer Program was doing so well, we decided to dabble into that. It was much harder to do than TikTok. I did not have the time to dedicate to even getting it off the ground like I did with the Amazon Influencer Program. So after a bunch of failed attempts, we brought someone onto the team who's dedicated to just that. Some of you have met her, it's Erica. And we've approached it in like some different milestones. You know, first was, you know, how can you make money as quickly as possible if you're just starting and you want to do this? And it seems to be by way of brand deals. So there's a Discord channel called Your First Dollar.
Your first dollar?
Yeah, that I recommend, and I can give you guys a link if you need it. It is an affiliate link, but that's not why I'm recommending it. And again, the affiliate commissions are going to go to like building this place up. But what it does is a bunch of brands go there, and there's a bunch of creators on there, and as a brand, you're saying, hey, you know, I'll pay you X per month for you to create 15 to 30 videos a month for me and post it on TikTok to drive awareness. And then they do this across like 30, 40, 50 creators. The way you can get away with this affordably as a brand is some of these creators, they're just trying to start a portfolio. So, which is similar to what, I think it was Erica's idea to do it. And she's like, this person's offering $100 for 15 videos. Like that's like slave labor, you know? But I also want a portfolio, and I could go buy a product, or I could just, you know, do this and start learning this brand deal stuff. And she did, and it's great, and they love it. So we got to the point where we had to like stop looking. Brands were paying, you know, they want to pay $100,000, $200,000 a month just for you to do these videos for their products and post them on TikTok with no followers. Let me just say that, like, you do not have to be an influencer. You don't have to have one. They don't care. As a matter of fact, if you go on there and you have 20,000 followers, one of the first things they ask you to do is create a new TikTok, and which blew my mind. But the logic there was, rather than somebody go to your feed where you're like every day reviewing different stuff and you could barely find their stuff, they would rather work with you month over month and create a profile that just shows nothing but their stuff, and let that grow. So that was a big aha moment for me, because I was like, man, it's going to be a hard ask to get someone to not just get the followers and do all these reviews, but also to like get people to really like their stuff and grow a following. But they're not even interested in that. But what got to the point is we had to say no to the brand deals, because imagine taking on 10 brands, even if it's $500 a month, which is good. You take on 10, that's $5,000 a month. But you're now on the hook for 300 videos that month, right? That kind of sounds like work, right? It doesn't sound like a side hustle anymore. So we put a stop on that because that wasn't the only thing we wanted to accomplish. But you can easily go out there and do that if you want. And these are phone videos too. You're using CapCut. It's very doable, and there's people doing it. I just didn't want any part of that life. The other, or no life is what you would have. But the other part of this is where people are making the real money. I was a creator on TikTok, is creating videos and linking to somebody else's storefront. So, you know, can I mention your brand? You don't mind? So Athlon Rub, which is a phenomenal rub that I use now when I get too beat up at the gym. somebody, he puts it on TikTok's shop and he's like, on the back end, he says, hey, any of you video creators, like, I'm willing to give up 20% of this anytime you get a sale. You don't get a sale, I don't give up anything. And he sets this up. And then Bruce is like, I got a community, or I'm really good at, I like creating content, or I do create content, or I have a very authentic use to create a video about this sort of pain relief rub. And so he's like, and the thing's selling for 20 bucks and I get 20% commission anytime somebody. So he starts creating content on it. He starts making that commission. He doesn't need to coordinate with you. He doesn't have to wait for you to pay him. You guys don't need to go through any of that. TikTok facilitates it and just starts paying him that money. So the beauty space, supplements, like all these different things, people get on there and they talk about them, and they're making some good money. And by good money, I mean 20, 40, 60, $80,000 a video. So I was like, that's the little arena that I want to play in. So to do that though, you need 5,000 followers. And there's a bunch of hacks you could do. You could buy followers, like you could do that out the gate. I didn't want anything to do with that. I didn't want to learn this and then come tell you some black hat tactic you could do to like hack the system. So we're like, let's do this the right way. And I'm happy to say after doing it for a month, I was hoping to say, we're at 4,763. The timing, I think it's going to be by Monday, we'll be at 5,000. Yeah, we'll be at the 5,000. Ironically though, before we hit the 5,000, TikTok enabled us to get access to that link anyway. So they kind of like recognize that what we're doing is really resonating. So we'll have a lot of content next week to talk about. Anybody that's interested in that, like the learnings that she had from doing that, like what worked, what didn't, and a lot of the myths that are out there. She'll be posting that stuff in our Telegram, which you can join for free at wizardsofecom.com/chat. That was a lot.
We just created the shop, the TikTok shop. We're at on road.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You probably have a lot of like great UGC stuff that you could post, like videos.
I'm trying to get that traction.
Okay. And by the way, with Erica, I didn't know this at the time. It's probably should have known this before bringing her on the team. She had like next to zero social media experience. Like amongst her friends, she was like the person that you couldn't contact on social media. Like she didn't like social media, she didn't use social media. I don't know the reasons why, but I think that's a cool fun fact there for anyone that's like, yeah, but I don't know social media. She didn't either. Again, I think it would have been really good information to know before bringing her on the team, but you can't tell from like the first video she ever created. She's a natural. So good. Two more quick ones, and then I'll take questions. But today, normally what happens at 3:30 is we network a little bit, and then some people leave, and then we go grab tacos or something nearby. Today's different. So at 4 p.m. today, we have another meetup starting. Welcome. We have our Amazon meetup, which you now know, but we also have a separate Shopify meetup, not a separate Shopify meetup under Wizards of Ecom that does really well, and we have a YouTube one. So one of our YouTube meetups is today at 4. You're welcome to stay. The structure is almost identical to what we do now with a beginner hour and then our topic of the week. The topic of the week for the YouTube meetup is how to make money with YouTube. Pretty cool. And it's from 4 to 6:30. It's a relatively new meetup, and we haven't done one since our move here in September, so I don't know what the turnout's gonna be, but you're more than welcome to stay. But normally at 3:30, I hang out with everybody, and instead you're gonna see me racing around getting set up for the next meetup. Last announcement is the meetup next week. So we have our meetup next week. Raul and I will be hosting it. There is a small chance that I will not be at the meetup, but Raul is. Again, it's still gonna be a great meetup. And we're gonna talk about private label selling strategies. At 4 p.m. after that meetup, eBay's coming in. So anybody that wants to get the skinny on eBay, it's very difficult to do. eBay corporate's coming in. I coordinated to bring in the eBay ad team. So a lot of people are clueless on how to actually use eBay ads, and when you know how to do that, eBay can be a channel you really want to focus on. And then a totally separate meetup, which is the largest eBay meetup community in the world. They'll be attending that event hosted by Patty, who some of you got to hang out with last week at the Tank. That community is called eBay, Nothing But eBay. So it's a pretty cool event. like you'll notice that between a Shopify meetup, an Amazon meetup, and an eBay meetup, you might as well be speaking 3 different languages. Like nobody agrees on anything. Everyone thinks their channel is the best one. I would encourage you to choose your bank account as the channel and let your most important metric be sales in your channel, and money and growing your business, not revenues, but profits. So that's the one I think you should be loyal to. And if you can learn something on eBay that can unlock something for you to get sales, I really don't care where you get them. I just think you should get them. Amazon is just our main focus, because without a focus, a community of our size will just be all over the place. Like you won't have any idea what we're talking about the following week. All right, so instead of a beginner hour, we'll have like a beginner 24 minutes before 2 p.m. What we do here is anybody that has questions, maybe I can see here. Anybody that has questions on the stream or anybody that has questions here, it is the beginner hour, so let's see. Cesar says hello. Yes, you are ready. Okay. Who has questions? If not, I start picking on people.
You said that people from eBay are coming the next week.
Next Saturday at 4 p.m.
To 6 p.m.
4 to 6, 4 to 6:30. They rarely host events, so it wouldn't surprise. It might end at that time, or they just might stay. They're bringing in food. It's free. I recommend attending, especially if you're already going to be here for what we're doing Saturday. And if for some reason I can't attend, again, it's happening no matter what. Raul's doing it. You'll probably meet Raul when he finishes the podcast, and you know Raul. It's going to be a really good event either way. What'll happen is I won't be posting right before the event whether I'm going or not, just because, not you guys obviously, but I think people don't read. And if I post something, I've tried this, that says I will not be going, I will get messages from everyone saying, oh, why'd you cancel the meetup? And I'm just like, I'm not doing that anymore. I can't even ChatGPT it, so it's you guys know. But I'm hoping I'm here. Yeah. So I think you should go with eBay 100%. You went to the last one, didn't you? Yeah?
No.
Okay. Anybody else got questions? Really? Yeah.
On our wholesale side, we have like a low medium selling item on Amazon that we got an IP theft complaint and a date. We got dated on it as we were selling it.
Okay.
But the good news is we were able to. This is good to know. Amazon was really good because this is a legitimate wholesale thing. We're going to an authorized distributor. We send in a proper documentation. Within 24 hours, they open us back up. Everyone's off the list.
That's good for you, right?
Yes. Do you think on that, or do you think we should just lay low and maybe any experience you've heard, stay away from this if they reverse something, or?
I think if you got reinstated and you're the only one on the listing,
Yes.
I think you should pedal to the metal. I think you should sell. That won't stay that way. I mean, it seems like there is paperwork that the supplier gives you that allows you to get ungated and start selling. So, I mean, I think it's don't stare a gift horse in the mouth type of thing. Like, does that make sense? Did I say that right? Yeah? So sell, and then next week come in and brag about how many more sales you got being the only one on the listing. What's the BSR?
I don't recall, but it moves. I don't know. I want to say like we might move 100 a month, but that's with the other sellers on the current.
How many sellers were on there that you were sharing the box with?
I think it was like 5.
Oh, so you're going to jump up to like 500 plus a month, at least. Yeah, that's nice. Congrats, man.
Yeah, I placed an order with our distributor, and they gave an order Tuesday. So I went like medium. I didn't go too extreme, but I didn't go too light because I figured I was placing another order. Send more.
Yeah, okay. For those of you that are doing private label, since nobody's having questions, I'll just throw some stuff out there. I'm a bit in the minority on this, but again, I kind of got to speak my truth in what I've been doing for all this time. I think it's really important for those of you that are importing products into the country that you should not be panicking right now. You should just be aware of the situation. You shouldn't be trying to like reshore wherever you're making your products. I mean, things are like really in flux. I mean, we just had, treading lightly on the politics situation, like we just had, our president go back and say that there's going to reduce, not to zero, but that there's already like mentions of reducing the tariffs as soon as this week. I think a world where we're never ordering from China, or you're removing your stuff from China. Like I've attempted to do this. I've worked with India, I worked with Colombia, I worked with Brazil. I worked with a lot of different countries. That would be in Mexico, total dumpster fire that is. And I've worked with these countries, and it's not as simple as just moving and saying you want to move your stuff over. Alibaba came out with something that I thought was really good. One of the issues, especially with high tariffs, is Alibaba has a pay later. So if you purchase through the Alibaba platform, they'll let you pay 90 days later. So you're going to get your goods, be able to sell it, and pay 90 days later. They just rolled that out, which is wild. I asked them, and I'm just like, so how are you doing credit checks? Like somebody has to be like an 850 or something? And they're like, no. Like just run it through Alibaba. Like it seems like Alibaba, I don't know if it's backed by the Chinese government or what's going on, is trying to step up and subsidize some stuff or like ease some of the burden here. Yep.
Is it a new thing or is it like a...
Brand new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I posted it in the Telegram late last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it called, 90 day?
Yeah, it's let me pull it up.
I know it's new house. Is there any finance charge for this one?
No, there wasn't. It's called Pay Later for Business. And it's
do they charge you anything on it, or is it just like a regular extension?
No, they said no. I've not used it myself, but I had them walk me through it, and I asked them a bunch of questions before I started talking about it. They said everyone is getting approved, and I said, then why does it say apply now? Like it sounds like an application process. But look, it's worth looking into. 2 weeks ago, there was no option, and some people were thinking that their businesses were doomed and forever going under. Less than 2 weeks later, the current president, whether you love him or not, is already talking about dramatically reducing them, and stuff like this is coming up. One of the big problems us as Amazon sellers have is unless you're Bruce, is you price your products too. It's a good time to boost your pricing up anyway and raise it. So if you raise it a little bit, yes, the customer absorbs some of it. You have your factory absorb some of it, logistics absorb some of it. You might be in a net better spot at the end of this anyway, and that's at this extremely high number, right? So I think just something to think about. I would say the bit of news that I heard this last week, actually, first I saw it on a LinkedIn post from Vanessa Hung, who used to be a Wizards of Ecom podcast co-host for the Wizards of Ecom Spanish podcast. Really bright individual. And then by ChatGPT themselves, because I'm in their pro thing with Operator and Sora, is I got to see something that's coming that I don't want to sound too dramatic. I think could really change the way we do e-commerce. Enough that it's alarming me that I feel that I'm like, okay, like I'm not one to just jump on these new trends and everything. I just like let the dust settle. This one looks like something we might not be able to do that with, and that's something that Shopify and ChatGPT are doing. So Shopify has something now that you will be allowed to check out from Shopify sites from within ChatGPT. So somebody's searching for something and they want something, and everything to buy, you do not leave ChatGPT, is within ChatGPT for somebody's Shopify. Like Vanessa said, and I'll echo it, is I really wished Amazon would have done that first, but that I cannot imagine that would not be extremely disrupting, and that it would be just the first AI that's going to do this. And with more people going on AI than Google, I could see it being very disruptive for e-commerce. So I would encourage you, at a minimum, because I totally could be wrong. Remember, I have a GED, and I've just strung together some wins over the last 16 years. But like, I highly encourage you to follow this and start doing some research on the topic, because it could be very disruptive. Okay? Well, any other questions anybody has? By the way, can anybody see the stream? Could you, just in case any, well, I'd have to jump over. Yeah, if anybody can, look at the YouTube channel to see who has questions on the stream and let me know. That would be a big help.
I didn't really get what was the issue with Shopify and ChatGPT.
Yeah, so imagine, you use ChatGPT, I imagine?
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is not something specific with ChatGPT, but it's usually the front runner when you ask somebody like, what's your favorite AI, you know? So chat, huh? Is there Wi-Fi?
Wait, I don't know. What is it?
Yes, so it's here, the network is BBMS1,
Okay.
and then it would be all lowercase wizards and the number 1. Yeah. So if you use ChatGPT or any AI, what ChatGPT has done is while you are in the ChatGPT environment, I don't even want to say searching, because people are moving to conversating and asking for advice and brainstorming with. This is becoming like a partner, right?
Yeah.
So while you are in that environment and something comes up that you want a product to solve for this, or what is something, maybe you're talking about, like I'm using Notebook LM and getting all my blood work and doctor stuff, and I'm dropping it in there, looking for like diet stuff, or what supplements should I take that would help. And so far it's been identical or better to what the doctors have been saying. I bring it to the doctor, and the doctor's like, yeah, that's, yeah, that's what it is. But you imagine you're doing that, and I was on a group call with OpenAI on this, and Shopify there's the link right there to buy. The whole, it's like a widget, just pops up right there in ChatGPT for you to do the full checkout experience for somebody's Shopify product. So I think that's gonna really change the way we shop. So that was the most alarming thing I saw this week, and it's just because it happened this week, it's the most alarming thing I saw this year. So I highly recommend you guys track this.
So if the conversation leads you to it, the product will show up.
Well, your conversation can lead you to it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so you won't have to take the step anymore to go to Amazon to buy it. To say the least, I come up with a strategy to combat that, but yep.
I had an experience this week. I found out that, my brand, somebody was selling it in Mexico. And even though I have the drop down, I guess the option, I opened it up for Mexico, Canada, Brazil. I've never sold over there.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody is selling my product in Mexico at a really ridiculous price, and it got to me really high. And it got to me through a friend of mine that wants the product in Mexico. And I never started selling in Mexico because I believe I had to open up a business in Mexico and have a bank account established in Mexico. So, can I piggyback on what them selling my product, sell it in Mexico and undercut them, or sell at the appropriate price, or bypass having to open up an account or a company in Mexico? Any idea on that?
Yeah, a lot. So the majority of the last 16 years, my thought on that was be happy they're selling it. They're selling it, and then they're going to buy it from you, and they've just factored in a little cut for them, good for them. Also, you can look at it and say, wow, I didn't know I could sell that high, you know? So a lot of good information there. I would say then buy the product and make sure it is your product that they're selling, right? Like, are they counterfeiting your product? are, like find out what's up there. With the Amazon landscape changing, with price discrepancies possibly taking your buy box, and this next one is bad. And this is something that, this is a black hat tactic that a lot of people do to sabotage their competitors, is let's say I get your product and I enroll it in Canada because you're not there, whatever. But I now have control of that listing. I can now go into the back end of that listing and say, one of the best reasons I like this Athlon rub stuff is because of the trace elements of cocaine that it has, and it numbs the area around my knee. I don't know, right? Well, cool, they did that. They're not in any trouble, but that's all connected on the back end of Amazon. So you could deal with a really nasty problem where everything just gets shut down on your side, and you're like, well, I don't understand what happened. So I would now say, somebody selling your product in another country, get brand registry. Get brand registry involved, and just be able to control what's said about your product, how it's described, and not be able to let anybody change that. And if it's not too much effort, I would reach out, try, if it's possible, to look at that seller, get the address, try to figure out who they are, reach out to them. And I wouldn't try to crush them. I would just say, you want to open a wholesale account?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I can't control the pricing though, right?
if you can control the stream of income, if you can control the inventory, like where this person can't get inventory unless, then
I'm not even sure where they got from.
right, then no.
We don't even know if they're selling my product.
Then no, you're not going to be able to. Yeah, and it can wreak havoc with you on Amazon, like discounts that you want to play. The fact that they're doing it higher is better than lower. Because if you did it too much lower than your current listing on Amazon.com, Amazon could come back and say, like, your price too high, we're suppressing your buy box. So you want to be able to control it as much as you can. I would at least get brand registry involved.
Okay, good. I have another question.
Sure, let's see.
You want me to take a speaker?
Oh, wow, you didn't have that. I'm sorry, yeah.
Do I need it?
Yeah, so the people on the stream can hear it. I thought you had a mic.
Oh, no.
But basically, the two questions you asked was, one, a seller in Mexico is selling your product. You don't sell in Mexico, and they're selling it at a much higher price, and that was the answer I just gave. And what was the question before that?
No, I have another question.
Okay, what is it?
The other question was way before.
Okay.
My other question is, have you had any experience with selling cosmetic products? Like my product, for example, shows up in Amazon Colombia, but it says not available. And so I'm not sure how to, get through that hurdle, get through that. And I think what they said is that because of some of my claims talk about medical benefits or recovery and pain and stuff like that, that they classify it as a maybe over the counter
Yeah.
OTC, and so they're blocking me that way. But I am officially registered as a cosmetic, so I'm not sure there's a way I can break through that. It's tricky.
It's doable, but it's like you're gonna need somebody like really sharp with listing creation that knows which words you can't use, which combination of words you can't use, and you should be able to get out of that. In my experience, you'd be able to. And I'm not trying to be ambiguous about it, but it's
I understand.
it's really.
It's wordsmith.
I would say if I did it, I could figure out what those words are, but there's a good chance my first 2 or 3 submissions are going to get rejected, and I'm going to be like, so this is what they're seeing, and I'm going to have to keep making some changes on it. So it's not. If I just knew like what the combination was, I would just say that.
Yeah.
So it's tedious.
How long after you edit your description and stuff like that and your title does the system kind of refresh and you can say, hey, let me just use this or something?
It's usually within the same day sometimes, unless it's like A+ content, which for some reason has been taking longer for me, or your brand store. But I mean, it's ingested immediately. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. Anybody got any questions? Oh, yeah. Right here? Oh, we'll do ladies first.
Hi, nice to meet you last time.
Yes.
I used to sell in Amazon. dropshipping, you can sell without having the inventory. Then I changed to online arbitrage. And what happened is I hired a VA that is from India, right? So he's helping me, finding products and everything. All of a sudden, I have this email saying I have, been found to be related account.
Yep.
Beginning, with another seller, which is in the UK, and I don't know these sellers. Like, how can I get all the paperwork to be able to reinstate my account? But at the end, I wanted at least to get back my money. I have $9,000 there, and until now, whenever I still have access to my email, but whenever I enter my Amazon seller account, I cannot have access. So I tried everything before to submit all my EIN that I'm the owner of this, but for some reason, I cannot still log in, and my money is still there. So it's not much, but it's like, I don't know, like maybe I should hire someone. I really wanted to restart again selling Amazon. I have my relatives are doing that, but of course in my name I can't do it because of this problem.
Yeah, so
What do you think their advice is?
a lot. The first, unfortunate, I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is, so bad news. The more you appeal something in Amazon, the harder it gets each subsequent time to get them to see logic, to overturn it. So the fact that you've already appealed this several times is gonna make it much harder to have a chance of succeeding. And also, you mentioned possibly hiring someone. The person I recommend hiring for this is Chris McCabe, who was just here, how long ago? A month ago? Roughly a month ago? That's who I go to. He's not what comes up under cheapest way to get it done, I'll tell you that. And it may even cost you half of what you have in the reserve or what they're holding of yours to get it done. But I will say you want to get this resolved no matter what, because you don't want, this is more than just a linked account. If you had a linked account, they wouldn't be holding your funds. You have a linked account that's linked to a suspended account.
Correct.
Right, so
And
that,
still now, I would receive an email like saying, like something, that they sold, and they're still, I don't know for what reason, but my account is still selling something, and I would still, get an email.
Right.
That you have some money or something, and whenever I log in, I cannot, and I see UK now, it's not even USA.
yeah, so you want to get that resolved because you need to get that out from hanging over your head. The Amazon verification processes are getting tougher. So even if I shared a loophole with you on how to start selling and get around that right now, it's probably going to burn you down the road rather quickly. So I would recommend Chris McCabe. Now, the other way is, have you yet told, so let me just ask you a regular question because nobody's judging here.
Yeah.
And I'll start with, I had many accounts suspended for doing some really shady stuff that I did in the very beginning. Right, I wasn't treating it like a business, I didn't care. It sounds horrible to say, but I sold some stuff that was counterfeit. I was just flipping random stuff on, I wasn't treating it like a business. I started treating it like a business, and from that point forward, it's been, so the question here is, do you have a suspended account? Because if you do, I can help you better. Because the advice I would give you would be how to address that issue from a suspended, there's a suspended account, they're linked. It was, you know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to do that.
The problem is, I don't have any.
Okay, then we'll go with that. So,
It's I wish there is, but it's
okay.
I don't have it.
So then what it sounds like, and I'm assuming that's why you volunteered this other information, which is you hired a VA,
Correct.
right?
India, and
From
I
India.
trusted them,
So
sometimes get inside.
I feel like there's an implication there that you feel like the guy from India is the one who's probably linked to a suspended account, but since he'd been in your account, they're now linked, right?
Correct.
When the VA logged into your account, did they do it with your master credentials or did you give them user permission?
What happened is, I remember he was able to get the login of my email, of that email that handles with Amazon. So I had to fight with him, and finally he returned back to me my password, and
Yeah, but he can't just get it.
No, I mean, for some reason, I don't know what happened really. I was like,
You would have had to have given it to him because you wanted him?
Not just, with the email, he has, of course, when you have the email at Amazon, then you can, change a lot of things with the Amazon Central, because then, it goes over there. But that's what I remember. I mean, but it started you having, giving him a user account, but at the end, he was able to enter to my Amazon and now I know.
But when you say enter through the Amazon, he was entering the Amazon through his user permissions, or he was entering through your master credentials? Right, so that gets a lot more complicated, because you used to be able to just tell Amazon, hey, I made a mistake. I accidentally shared my master credentials with the person, but Amazon's really made it clear now. You're like, you have to kind of pretty much sign like you are 100% responsible for anything that happens if you do that. Chris has a lot of workarounds on that, and not to sugarcoat it, I think it's going to cost you like $4 to $5K. We don't get a penny from it. I can make a recommendation. I can do an intro if you wanted, but forget the money for a second.
Yeah, it's not about the money.
Right. The thing is, if you're intending to sell on e-commerce moving forward, Amazon's about 50% of that conversation, and a link to a suspended account it's like starting a race with cut off at the knees. Right. So like you want to get that resolved soon. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to get. Right. So you could he has that QR code right up there on the top banner. You could either scan that and get a hold of him. I'd be happy to make a personal email introduction. I have no affiliate, no anything like that. Yeah, just let me know.
Because, now I cannot open anything. I cannot, my LLC with my name.
No, I get it. I have been there. I have been there.
Use other people, my cousin, my friends, but it's still different when it's my own.
If anybody wanted to like take a trip back in the past for a second, after the meetup, I have that used to be the #1 bestseller book on Amazon, and I have it in my room. Like, this is in a binder. Like, we printed it out and put it in a binder because it needed to be an SOP. It was used so often in our warehouse, and it's the Amazon eBay suspension guide. And it's old when we used it, but it's something Amazon's been really strict about from the beginning, and there's a lot of tricks you can do around it, but the best trick is not get suspended. Right? Okay? I'm sorry about that. And that I think he can help you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I will tell you that if he can't, he'll tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
A couple people would like to know if the YouTube meetup will be live streamed.
It will not. Well, let me take that back. Let me double check. I don't believe it is. We will, if it's not, the goal is to, and we're almost at 1,000 members in that group. That's wild. Let's see. No, it's not. I would say probably the next one will be, and we'll be having at least 1 or 2 a month of the YouTube meetups. Yeah, and let me share my screen again. Or do I need to? No, I don't need to share my screen. I'm not showing anything. So yeah, any other questions on?
Well, there is one that, from Harry. He has a wooden product, and he has complaints from customers who are complaining that it had a chemical-like smell, and he would like to know if he would suggest that he treat the wood with a certain oil or something else to prevent it.
So he has a wooden product that has a chemical-like smell. He's
He has
getting.
complaints from customers that it has a chemical-like smell.
I'm assuming it's in FBA, so the question kind of takes into account, do I recommend he recall the units, treat the wood to hopefully address the smell, repackage and send to FBA? I mean,
He just says, would you treat the wood with a certain oil or something else to prevent? So, it's not too specific. That's the question.
yeah. So I 100% would not continue selling them. I would, in this case, what is it? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So like in the future, take a whiff of your products, like make sure that's not the case. I've ordered some stuff, well, especially on the Vine side of the program. you'd be surprised how many like little, like there's these packs of like these two-headed dinosaurs, like these little rubber two-headed dinosaurs. My kids love them, but you open the pack and it smells like they're laying asphalt. My wife has a total meltdown. You smell it everywhere. And I have to think that they have no idea that it smells like that, or you wouldn't ship something like that. Like there's no reality where that turns out good for the seller. But yeah, so don't continue to sell it because no one's just gonna like forget that it smells bad and overlook that. And then, yeah, since you're not gonna sell it, if it's an FBA, you're recalling it, that's gonna eat your margins up bad. But there's no workaround there. And then, do you have something to treat it that can fix it? Yeah, if not, I'd say your phone, bonfire, and try to get a lot out of a YouTube video channel. I burned my inventory, you know what I mean? Like, try to get some mileage out of some AdSense off of YouTube. You could dispose it if it's cheap enough. I don't know why I'm getting a visual of these wooden fold-up ashtrays I used to sell, and they were heavy, so I'm like imagining in my mind that that's what it is, and I'm gonna get crushed in return cost. Yeah, that's a bad scenario, man. I'm sorry. You said Harry? I'm sorry Harry's going through that. Could be the packaging. Yeah, definitely check the packaging.
The smell of the packaging when it's closed like that.
Man, that's gotta stink. Can you imagine you do the inspection, you do everything, and like no one smelled, like no one reported what they smelled? I'd be furious. You nailed everything and the thing smells like turpentine. Sorry, I'm laughing, but like, that sucks. That really, really sucks. Okay, all right. We're out of the beginner hour. Everybody apparently had less energy than me with all the questions you had. I'm gonna continue, since the feedback was good, on like a PPC beginner tip that I've been sharing every week. This one, I literally, to be fair, last few I put together like several days in advance and tried to make them like super cool. This one I did like 30 minutes before we started, and I was super busy. So you may have heard me say this one a lot, but whenever somebody shows me especially if they don't know how to run ads, and they show me, let's say you have we're beginners, this is for a beginner hour, so you have a small ad budget, and PPC means pay-per-click. So when you have a product and you're selling it on Amazon, and you want to have a snowball's chance in hell of being seen, you run ads, or you have influencers in TikTok. But you're usually also starting with a smaller budget. So, how's it going? In that scenario, people are just like, my budget's not going as far as it should. I'd say 9 out of 10 times when I go in there and look at the ads, there's something called ASIN overlap going on. And the easiest way to kind of see like when something like this can happen is your auto campaigns and your manual targeting campaigns are hitting the same ASINs. So in this case, even though it shouldn't be driving up your cost per click, it is. So what it's going to take to bid on those is going up. So you're paying more unnecessarily for the same keywords, and you may have I've seen this too. You have multiple manual targets of the same competitor ASINs going on, which is a form of ASIN overlap. And yeah, those are the two that I have. So I would say that if you're going to break out, and let's just stay as basic as possible, but if you're going to break out a keyword from your auto campaign and you're going to create a manual campaign on it, at least negate it in your auto campaign at a minimum, so you don't have bids going on both sides. It's very easy to lose sight of it, especially if your campaigns are not structured right with like the goals you're trying to hit for each campaign. So there's the tip. All right. Since a lot more people came in that weren't here earlier, today our topic is going to be a launch strategy for, I believe that's the topic, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be stuff to do right before and right during the launch in 2025. I feel like there's a lot that has changed that you can like mix into things. So we're going to walk through, I put together like 15 different steps and then not really steps, but 15 different areas, and each area has a few different steps you can add to it. Last time we did this, we didn't get halfway through, so I'm gonna try to move a little quicker when we go through this, and then anybody that has any questions on any of the steps, we'll dive a little deeper. But usually when we finish these events, at 3:30, we kind of like network. Today, I'm starting another meetup event at 4 p.m. So you're gonna see me running around getting set up for the next meetup. The next meetup is a YouTube meetup. So you are 100% welcome to attend, but it's not YouTube for Amazon sellers, it's just a YouTube meetup. Fair? All right. And next week, in case you guys disappeared and didn't hear the announcement in the beginning, next week is, we have Raul and I presenting on some private label product sourcing strategies. There is a small chance that I will not be able to attend next Saturday, and there will not be, I'm not gonna be sending a message to everyone because it causes confusion if I can't, but I'm gonna do my best to be able to make it next Saturday. But after the event next Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m., eBay's coming. So eBay corporate, the top people from the eBay ads team are gonna be here, and a lot of other people that are eBay sellers are gonna be here from Patty Whitlock's team. That's gonna start at 4. So kind of like the structure we have today where it ends at 3:30 and at 4 p.m. we're starting something else. The eBay one will be the same way next week with the eBay event. Cool? Yeah. All right. I don't think I need my screen for this, but just in case we need to go on Amazon. Nope, all right. Okay, who here has launched a product on Amazon? Who here has launched a product on Amazon before? Like a private label product? Yeah, your own, yeah, you have.
You would consider me a private label, right? My own brand?
Yeah, it's your brand, so so a few of you have, okay. That's gonna help. You didn't raise your hand back there? Oh, it's not a private label, that's right. So you're basically a private label seller without the benefits. Exactly. Right, yeah, that is true. All right. Who here is not doing private label? Like has their own brand, they're in some process. You don't have to have been selling it, but you're in some process of your own private label. Or who here does not know what private label is? Okay, we're gonna answer that. Okay, we're good. This is gonna help me a lot. Okay. So, what private label is in the Amazon world is completely different than outside of the Amazon world. In the Amazon world, what it is you're starting your own brand versus reselling somebody else's product for a profit. Right, so you could contact a brand, the backpack, and ask to resell their backpack, and they give you a price. You could sell, recognize a profit, that would be reselling. And a private label would be, you like that backpack, so let's just say you go to Alibaba in China, you look for a manufacturer of that backpack, you put your logo on it. There's more to it, but you now have your own, you take your own UPC code, you got all that stuff. That would be your private label brand. You with me? Good. You gotta go, or you guys?
No, I want to go close.
Come closer if you want, yeah. You can't hear me? Am I not talking loud?
No, I just do better. Like when I was in school, I was the first person to be the car.
Cool. All right. All right, so in today's, we're going to talk a little bit about before launch, some of these, and they're not in any particular order. And also some of the things you should do to kind of measure success or some goals you can have right after your launch. Okay? So one of the things hopefully you're doing pretty regularly right after you launch a product on Amazon. And by the way, launching the product on Amazon means something different to everyone. For most people, it means inventory is an FBA and they turned on ads. I think that's a really sucky description of a launch, but that's what it is for most people. When I'm talking about a launch, it means we got Google Ads running, sending traffic. You might have some other third-party marketplaces also with the product for sale. just because when they saw it on Amazon, maybe when they see it, somebody else, they'll buy it. You got deals on your Shopify site going on. You got social media, you got your influencers. You may have built a community beforehand because you didn't cook this whole thing up in a week. You're hitting your email list up, like that's a launch. You don't have to do all of them to be a launch, but it's a really, really crappy position to be in to say your launch is, my product finally made it to FBA and now I'm willing to turn on ads, okay? But when you do launch, you should be looking frequently or have a software that's, hopefully you're beating the software in your alerts on checking for reviews. That's really, even with ads running, like that's the only thing I'm checking constantly when I first launch a product is the reviews. I came up with this calculation that puts the cost of a negative review at about negative $2,500, and the cost, or the plus cost of a positive review being about $250 to the good. Now, if you have 10,000 reviews and you get one negative, that negative, assuming you're at a 5-star, does not have a negative 2,500 impact. But if you're at 3 reviews and you get one negative, it can also be worth a lot more than the negative $2,500. So, all things being equal, I put it at that range that I gave for you, right? But just in case anybody's calculating differently. A negative review as one of your first reviews on Amazon is extremely damaging to what you're trying to do. And what you're trying to do is build momentum on the launch. It's extremely damaging. Now, this is why so much attention gets put on reviews, and there's a lot of white hat and black hat ways to do this. One of the easiest white hat ways is starting to get, or I'd say is completely shut down now, and that's gonna be review cloning, it seems, since the last rule I showed says it's capping it at the parent ASIN level. So we've talked about it a lot. I was recommending you do it. Apparently an Amazon seller decided to do it 100 times and torqued Amazon off. But what it was is if you were selling this gimbal and it was black, you could enroll that product into Vine. You could give away 30 of them, and Vine is like this group of Amazon approved reviewers, and they review them, but you can only get 30. But then what you did is you created another listing and you called this, the black, or midnight black, or matte black, and you just gave it a whole bunch of different versions of blacks. It's still black, and you enrolled them as separate entries into Vine, and then you just, when it got its Vine reviews, you would just, it worked a really long time. Party's over.
Since when?
Since when did it end?
Yeah. Since I'm gonna launch soon, they said let's end.
Yeah, they're like, Candace is coming.
Let's
Forget
end
it.
now. Why not?
Yeah, they said Candace is coming.
Tariffs aren't enough, we're gonna pull out.
Yeah, I would say, knowing Amazon, right before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they'll go through and get all the reviews that everybody did and accumulated, and then everyone's gonna wake up one day and they're just gonna disappear. Like that's what they do. No, that's what they do. It's every year there's a full-fledged panic moment because they're gonna roll out some new, they're gonna throw a monkey wrench in the system.
From Vine or in general?
No, it's the Vine manipulation. At the end of the day, that's what it was. Like, I'm very for not doing black hat stuff, but I also don't believe somebody should be operating their business in like the pristine white hat space. Like, we should be in like a gray, dark gray as business owners, like pushing limits, right? And then where those limits fall depends on your risk tolerance. If you're a supplement seller, it's a very, very dark gray at best, probably black. If you choose the right product that doesn't have a great deal of competition in the beginning, you could get away with like a light gray, white. But it depends on your risk tolerance, and what the risk is. $1,000 she needed to pay this credit card, or she couldn't do anything else. That's huge. I'm hoping that's not the case, but it could be your financial livelihood. It could be the dream of not having to go work for somebody else. Like, everybody's is different, but like, It's big. For some people, they're willing to roll the dice. As I've gotten old, I do not, well, it doesn't matter if you wanted to or not right now, because the way they structured it is you're maxed at the parent ASIN level on how many reviews you can bring in. So give it some time. There's going to be a loophole. You got money involved in some of the sharpest people in the space, like it's going to happen.
Not only that, there's a way to make it redundant.
Right.
If you have a good product, and I don't think you need to.
Right. The other one is just you can have variations, like, you know. So, all right. So I check reviews to an unhealthy degree when I launch. Like I'm refreshing that thing all the time. And what I'm going to do is before launch, and this is my dark gray black tactic here, and every brand I know in the world does this. Is I have a group of people that are ready to buy my product and leave reviews, right? I'm not artificially propping my product up to #1 bestseller under a bunch of fake reviews. I'm not trying to get hundreds of reviews. I'm getting some people I know who I'm not obviously connected with on social media, and they're gonna buy my product and we're gonna get some of those reviews in. Like that's gonna happen. I'm gonna do that. And I've never had an issue with it. The rules state you cannot have family and friends leave a review. I loosely interpret that to mean not anyone in your household, not anyone you're married to, not anyone you have bought from Amazon and had product shipped to, but not everyone from the same county in the same, you know what I mean? Not every buying all under the same IP address at the same time in the same location on the same day, like using some common sense there. And then not having all of them leave a review at the same time. So like you think those things through, and yeah, I'm gonna have some kind of plan for that. I just invested a bunch of money, I'm starting a business. I don't want a garage full of inventory for my wife to do this to me all day, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to happen, so I'm gonna get some people ready to leave some reviews. Having said that, I'm gonna have gone above and beyond to make sure I have a quality product. I'm gonna sniff it. So Harry said, I'm gonna sniff the wood. I'm gonna do all that. I'm gonna get an inspection. I'm gonna ask you guys to try it out. So we're down to 2 names for our next product. One of them is animal candy. And when that product comes out, I'm gonna show it to you. I'll show it to some of you guys. Give me your feedback on it, you know, and then those of you that give me good feedback on it, I'll probably reach out to you and say, hey, you know, I'd love for you to buy this product. If I ever needed to ask for all the 11 years of hosting these free events, I'm finally gonna cash in my chips and I want you to buy my $25 thing. And that's what it'll come to. And I won't ask everyone to do that, but I'll get, you know, enough people that, yeah, I hope so. 1 or 2 of you will. Mariteri shaking her head no. No, don't you? No. Right, so.
Carlos, quick question. I feel like Amazon knows who's a friend of yours on social media.
Yeah. So you're not supposed to friends and family to buy your product and leave a review. But it's very commonplace for people to buy their friends' stuff. Like my friend opens a gym, I go to their gym. And if they were selling something online, I review them on Yelp. Like for businesses, if you're doing it right and you're playing the social media game, you're connected on social media. That's one red flag that they see. Rarely does Amazon act on just that one red flag. Now, if it's your mom at your house, it's slightly different, you know? If it's someone you're just connected with on social media, they'll be like, okay. But if it's someone you're connected to on social media, and it's 15 of them at one time under the same IP address on Saturday afternoon in Miami, different story, right? But even then, what if I was hosting a launch event? Like, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. What Amazon's looking for is they have this ratio of, they know naturally how many people naturally will leave a review based on X amount of sales. And for every category, it's different. But say it's 3 people leave a review for every 100 sales. Somehow you've gotten 15 sales and 15 reviews. Doesn't work like that.
Definitely want to review after the product's arrived.
That's always good too, right? To start showing results from the protein powder in your review before the protein powder arrives to your house, right? Right? And the product says needs 30 days. I've seen that on a hair product, a laser hair cap to like bring your hair back, and the person was showing a picture of the results and the thing had not arrived. The other thing I'm looking at, really, it's getting the lion's share of my attention in the beginning, is pricing. I'm going to touch on pricing several more times. There is a strategy to launch a product by sort of tanking your price and then slowly pumping it. I'm not a fan. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I've seen it work. I'm not a fan, so I like to price high. I'd prefer to be, $5 higher than the next person. But like, I want to be high. It's much easier, you've heard this, it's much easier to come down on price than it is to go up. But I'd like to come in high. I want to make as much profits as possible from each of my sales of this product. Some products are more price sensitive than others, but if you sell, like, say, a kid's product, I don't know why I say this one, but it was like, it's the one time that I always said this, but it never really hit me, but when my wife had my son, the breastfeeding process was like much more of an ordeal than I thought it was. And there's these pads you get and stuff, and we had to get a bunch of these pads. And I went on Amazon, and it's a pad, mind you, without getting to too much information, that's gonna go on your wife, and it's also gonna go in your kid's mouth, right? So I went on there, and I needed a lot of them. I did not search for cheapest random material thing. I really looked at the reviews. I went for the high price best one because I was like, it's gonna be safest for my wife and safest for my kids, my son. So that's to say that product is not as price sensitive as a pencil sharpener, right? So if you have a pencil sharpener and your little pencil sharpener is gonna sell for $5 more than everybody else, like, you need to back that up, right? Unless it's like a wireless, hands-free Alexa pencil sharpener, right? Like, you need to back that up. And most people just don't. They just raise their price and they don't back it up. But I want to see what's going on with price. I want to see how aggressive my competitors are reacting to my price, if anything. Do they realize I've hit the market? Do they know what's coming? Usually if it's your first SKU on a new brand, you can get away with not having anybody retaliating, competitors retaliating or reacting. But if you're 4 or 5 ASINs in, I notice that when I launch a new one, my competitors are like, here we go, we know the playbook, this is about to cost us X% of our sales, and they start reacting. So I really pay attention to the pricing and the reviews. I'm also looking for repeat buys, which, when you're getting into a consumable product and you want to get into subscribe and save, I'm really wanting to see people that are buying again are repeat buyers. Like, I really want to go all in on subscription. Yep.
So do you, at launch, do you price, like, say you want to be like $25 with your price? So at launch with your product, do you say you want to be at like $25? Do you price it at like $27 at launch and then bring it down like a month or two later? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't. There's so many variables that go into this, but like, let's say everyone's selling, the high price is $19.99. A lot of people make a mistake. They saw this like really motivational webinar and they're like, I'm getting into private label. And now there's this rush, and every day that they're not in FBA is a loss. That's a massive mistake in my opinion. That's what most people do. They're so excited. So if you take the time and you're like, yeah, I want to be in this, this is the product I want to be in, but you know what, they're at $19.99. I don't want to look just like their product. I don't want to be another blue yoga mat in the rolled up position, you know what I mean, with the non-stick pads. It's like, I need something else going on that's going to catch people's attention and make them like act as a scroll stopper and get them to click. I'm going to be developing that. I mean, it's not, and that might incorporate some packaging and some other stuff, and it's not unheard of for that process to take months. Bruce will tell you, it'll take months, and it'll be worth every penny of it. The best ROI you can make in this whole process. So like, you want to dial that in right, otherwise you're going to be another random blue yoga mat who's 100% reliant on who can get more black hat reviews, sell for the least, which means no profits, and I don't want to play the game. So if you take the time to do that right, sometimes it means getting a mold and you're paying a little more and it's a little nerve-wracking, it's business. But I want to do that, and when I do that, I'm like, wait a minute now, I'm not just some random blue rolled up yoga mat anymore. I don't need to sell at $19.99, I'm going to $24.99. So I would rather be there. Am I gonna be the #1 bestseller doing the best volume there? No, but I'm gonna be the most profitable one. I can invest in more products. I can invest in winning on the ad side, I can invest in more creative, and I can put my kids in private school. So like, that's what we're trying to do. So that's why we do this. So that's what I mean. But a month or two later, I'm not trying to come down to $19.99. I'm trying to stick $24.99. And if I land at $22.99, that's fantastic. You know, but that's what I'm trying to do. So I check for reviews, I check for pricing, I check for repeat buys. That's really what I'm looking for there. This is say day one. Notice I did not say anything about my ads. I'm not looking at them right now. You've just turned those things on. If you're making any changes in your ads in your first few days, I think it's going to be a very, very long road for you. You're going to need a lot of Advil, a lot of antacid. Like, you just let these things, let them breathe a little bit. All right? We kind of just tapped into this, but this is more of a pre-launch thing, but I think it's important here because, and it's design differentiation early. I just put like a bullet so it'll prompt me into thinking about it, but you know, functional upgrade of the product, functional packaging, wow packaging, bundling. We've talked a lot about that. I feel like this group is better than most when it comes to that because we've been beating the drum on that for, 10 years. On the importance of differentiating and increasing your CTR. In this case though, we're in the launch. You should be swapping, you should be testing your main image. You should be seeing like what's resonating. If not, I think it's bad. I think you're in a bad spot. You're in that blue rolled up yoga mat position, right? So there's not much you can do here if you did this wrong. The majority of your effort now is going to be on like how can I game these reviews as fast as possible? How do I mitigate as many negative reviews as possible? And you're playing like the price review game, which sucks. You can play around with your main image a lot. You can use PickFu, you can use Product Pinion. There's a lot of them out there now. And with ChatGPT, you could just upload the results of your PickFu and get it to give you a bunch of really cool data. So PickFu's I use it for everything, like what I'm gonna get my wife, if I wanna create a home page or anything, but you get, you know, this product and you're like, I think I wanna do a design, or you wanna create a competitor to this. So you design it, but you're like, you don't know until you start selling it, but you wanna know before you buy it. So you get the mock-up or the render or the picture of that product and you put it side by side and you put it in PickFu and say, I'm looking for athletes between the ages of X and X to give me some feedback. Which one of these would you buy and why? And you get real-time feedback and votes from people on this, and you're like, okay.
How do you spell it?
PickFu.com. Yeah. And there's a lot of different real-time polls and information you can get. It's so worth it to get that real-time feedback. Yeah, I cannot emphasize enough. If you're launching products and you're not using PickFu, you might as well just be, no offense to anybody that does this, but day trading. Like you know. Like, I don't know, that's the most reckless thing I can think of. But you might, yeah, you're gambling. Is that, you approve that message, Tom? Day trading, is that?
100%.
Yeah, so it's just, you're all in on day trading? Oh God. So you're just, it's just reckless. Like PickFu's gonna let you actually get the data you need to make a more informed decision. And you know what? If the poll shows that you lost 95.5, it ain't gonna be different when you launch the product. Right? It might be 99.1. Just retool. I like to shoot for an 80-20, 70-30 split. 60-40 can be good. But I want to win on that. That's not counting the reviews. Usually then what I'll do is I'll jump over to Product Pinion. I'll do like a simulated search. I'll do something else. And now I'll pop it'll let you create a mock-up of the products. And you're like, okay, here's this product at 50 bazillion reviews. And here's mine at 50. Which one would you buy? I just won an 80-20. So this thing tells me they're gonna vote now on this, and the only new variable is the amount of reviews. And it's like, okay, what's the split gonna be? So it gives you an idea of what's gonna come and what sort of emphasis you should be putting on gathering reviews. You'll be really shocked though. You're like, oh wow, this at 50,000 reviews, 5-star. Mine, who just won 80-20 at 5-star, 5-star rating, meaning not 4.5 stars, 5 stars, and mine at 5 reviews, 5 stars, big difference. Like they go for this one. But you put this one at 4 stars, and you put yours at 25 reviews at 5 stars, it starts shifting pretty rapidly. So the quality of the star rating really matters. And that's good information to know. It lets you know like how many resources should we be putting into offsetting these negative reviews.
When it comes to testing the mean image against your competitor, do you put the reviews? Do you put the reviews that the competitors have? Or is it no, right?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's a review.
Yeah, I'd remove it and we just do main image to main image. Otherwise you're comparing main image, you're comparing 2 things in one test. But if I know head to head on an image to image, I won 80-20, and then I run a same one, but this time I add the reviews, I know what we're testing there. Like we're testing the reviews.
Would you test first the image that you think, like the ones that you created, and then the winner against the competitor? So
I do a few things, and sometimes it depends on like how well I know the product. But one of the first ones that a lot of people overlook, because to you it's obvious, and that is, here's the main image of my product. Tell me what this product is. Right, and you're like, to you it's a laser light pointer, and it's this small capsule. To somebody else it's chapstick. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not so obvious to some people what the product is. So I do that one immediately. And it never fails. You get somebody else to say something, and you're like, oh my God.
that's
Like,
also important to put the main keyword in your image.
yes, exactly. So that's the first one I'll do. The next one I'll usually do is, okay, here's what I came up with as far as an image. AI is fantastic for this. I don't think you should spit out an AI image of your product packaging and just go straight to Amazon with it. But it's a great spot to not lose a few $100s working with a designer just to start testing. And I'll say, this is what we got. Let's try this. Let's try this in camo. Like we're going after the paintballers and the airsoft players, and we know they like to set stuff up and put their stuff on YouTube. But if it's any other color, it's not going to be camouflage like all the gear they bought. So let's just go with a camo one. So we do that. I lost my thread here. I went too deep into airsoft and paintballing. But we do that. Oh, I'll get it, and then I'll get, here are the next top 4 competitors. I'll get those 5, and I'll put them up and say, which one would you buy and why? And simple. We're like really simple at first. And I just want to get the feedback really as to like, what did me being added to the mix change, if anything? And based on the feedback, if everyone's like, well, the one that they picked, they like it because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, okay, well, can I incorporate, does it make sense for me to put X, Y, and Z into mine? You know, if they mention that, I clearly know what it is because the keyword, it says frother, you know, on the thing, then I'll be like, okay, I do that and I'll run the test again. Small, like really small. And I'll keep doing little micro tests like that until I have something made. 50, I think it's 50, 50 is usually, yeah. Yeah, that's enough.
Is there a fee for the picture?
Yeah, you pay, how much is a 50, guys? 50 is $50. I have a link, it's a code. I literally make $2 when you use it. But
$50 per test or $50 a month?
no, there's not a monthly. It's just, you use it as you want to use it, and it's per test. But I have one that'll give you, it's either 50 or 100% off your first test. I think it's 50% off your first test. So if you message me, I can send you that link. Think beyond Ecom too, like anything you want to decide in your personal life, like what tree you should plant, what color you should do, what you should gift your wife or your husband or whatever. Like you could, this thing's awesome. Yeah, it saved me a lot. Yeah, okay? Chris, you have a question? Yeah. I should have said that too, guys. Those cubes are so that when you don't have to hold it to your mouth, but when you're talking near it, it's a mic, and it's just so that people on the, otherwise it becomes very awkward for people on the stream. They're only hearing my answer, but they can't hear the question. That's all. And you could throw it, and if it's designed to where if you accidentally hit someone with it, it's nothing. It's sponge.
Just to add on to the picture, would it be sufficient for a PL launch to just only use PICU and stop short of the product opinion, or do you go and pick it up further?
I think if you weren't using product pinion or PickFu at all, and you just use PickFu, you'd be so far ahead of the game. Product Pinion, I feel, excels in the area of simulated search. So if you wanna, once you've tested your stuff and you wanna put it, like somebody's gonna go to Amazon and search for this thing, and it's gonna show up amongst a whole bunch of other listings. At some point you wanna win there. So that's a simulated search. So like, I put it there. Also, I just like, I don't have a great deal of trust in technology, so I like to test it, and I'm about to put a bunch of money into something, so it's like, why not? You get a second opinion for everything. I'm getting a second opinion. Yeah, but they're both fantastic. I'm definitely a lot more team PickFu. Yeah. All right. This one changes everything, but you have to do it before the launch. So I just have to, I have to mention it, but then I'll also tell you like what you would do with it had you done that. And that's building an audience before the launch. You are not launching, in my opinion, if you just turn ads on when the product's reached FBA. I'd say you've decided to go live with your product is a better description. There's nothing about that looks like a launch anywhere else in the business world. So if you did take the time to build an audience and launch the product, and don't freak out, like I'm a big community building person, so this doesn't have to be what I mean by audience. It doesn't mean you need to give up 11 years of Saturdays. It doesn't mean it has to be IRL, like in person. It can be an email. It can be an email newsletter that you have, and that's your community on the email newsletter. It can be on social. I would just caution you on building on somebody else's land like that, like Facebook or Instagram can just change the way, the percentage of people that can actually receive your message. It's happened to me several times. So I love email as like the backbone of the community. If Meetup shut down the meetups, we could continue. Like we're connected. I can message you guys, I can keep messaging and letting you know everybody's at. Otherwise, if Meetup was the only thing, I would say there's no way I would have done a fraction of this because it could just be taken away from me at any second. So you want to have Meetup involved. I would say YouTube is a solid one, hence why we have a YouTube Meetup. I would not call building community Twitter or X, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I would avoid those like the plague if they're going to be like the foundation level of your, they should play a part, but if they're the foundation level of your community. Discord is solid, Telegram is solid. Heck, you could have a community that is just based off, you know, positive affirmations you send in the morning and we get to respond back when somebody receives it. So there's a lot of different things it can be. Right, so you want to build that beforehand. For clarity, beforehand does not mean the month before. It does not mean 2 months before. Like, this is why this is a process, and this is, I get a lot of flack for this, and that is because I don't have this launching strategy, which is, you know, we launch 2 products a month or 2 products a week. Like, there is this group that says the only way to succeed is always be launching. I personally could not be farther from that. In what those people also have, it's acceptable to have a 30% failure rate, right? Does anybody here feel like you're okay with a 30% failure rate on what you're putting in to start your first business? I'm not. I've never been in that position. So I like to set this up and make sure that I can really succeed. Like, Candace, you're doing it great. Like you're making sure you're nailing this. I think at one point you were about to go, and then I don't know if I'm right here, and we got you to pump the brakes a little bit, and you're.
No, I got stopped because of like forces out of my control, but I like thank God for that.
Yeah, no, that's good, and I think you're going to be in a much better position.
No, I agree. Thanks.
Yeah. So, the good news here is, I think the sweet spot here is to think about this almost 8 months to a year out. But before you freak out on me, that does not mean not making money for 8 months to a year. We talked about building community, and there's a lot of ways you can make money with community. There's digital products that be very complementary to your product. Very complementary to your product. There's affiliate plays that you could make with your email and your YouTube that you could be making money that could actually be helping you get more products before you launch. There's also this camp that you either, and I drank the Kool-Aid on this, like I refused to create a course because I felt that, you were either a successful seller or you were a failed seller who created courses. And I just had that in my mind the whole time. So anybody in this space who's selling a course, I'm like, oh yeah, you failed. You're just running your mouth, you know, like, so, and I think a lot of them were, but there is not a line between that. If you sell physical products and you have the ability and you're product agnostic and you just want to sell a profitable product, why not get a product? Like the example I've been giving in the group is if you're going to sell ice cream scoopers, why not create a course on how to make homemade ice cream, you know, with an upsell on how to make homemade whip? Why not do that? Like, why not be making money and building a community way before you bring the product to market? As a matter of fact, if you tried to launch an ice cream scooper without that, you'd lose a lot of money because it's like highly competitive, low cost product. But you can change all that. Like, you could create sort of a blue ocean for yourself just by doing that. So I really think that's the direction the space is going. At the product selection level, select products that are complementary to you also having a digital product that can bring you money in low times. It gives you a different stream of income in your business, and it allows you to create a community profitably before you bring your product to market. That gives you time to really develop the product. So I'm not talking about waiting a year before you start making money. I think there's a really good chance for most of your private labels that by the time you do get to the product, you will be making a lot more money than you will be making off your product for the first year or two, because you're dumping all that money back into more inventory. So it's really setting you up strong, and it's gonna allow you to really stand out from your competitors. So now let's say you did have an audience. What would you do with it in the time of launch? So our email list was so good when we would do product launches that we started getting into semi-trouble with Amazon, because we're cultivating this list constantly and we're engaging with them, and they know, like, and trust us. And when we asked them to buy something, they bought it. And guess what? They left a review. But the ratio of people, the ratio of people that actually reviewed would raise flags with Amazon, because they're like, there's no way you just got, 400 people to buy and 300 and so left a review. Like, but that's how powerful that can be. And we go straight to #1 bestseller, new release, everything. So you want to just sell to them. You let them know what's coming. What we would do is, there's a channel called, and it's addictive, I'm warning you, it's called How It's Made. If you've ever seen it, and you can go on this on social media or on TV, and it could be how these caps are made. I can't think of a more boring thing than this cap. And it will be, have you seen it? It's like 45 minutes to an hour of the entire process of this thing from like nothing to the cap. And you're like guessing the whole time, like, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, this thing just crimped it, and the color, and it got chilled, and then it got heated, and it sucks you in with that type of content. We would just tell the factory, can you just record this thing going through your stuff? And it looked very raw, very UGC. They never charged for it. And then we'd have all this content, and we would just drip it out. Like, here's a behind the scenes of what's coming. A lot of people assumed that we were just making it here. They just assumed we were making it here, and they thought it was, we have like these, we're blowing glass, and like, it was wild. So like, on your email, on social media, on your email. I would be careful to doing it, like when we just blasted it out to our social media, it didn't do as well. Because the goal here is we wanted to know, if you're engaged with that type of content from us, you're probably the person, because not everybody is, but you're also probably the person that will buy our product. It doesn't matter if we're selling peanut butter or paper clips, like, you're into what we do, we've got a good relationship, so and the factories will send you an unlimited supply of those videos. They don't charge for that. They're flattered. And it looks so raw and so authentic, not like polished, brand produced, that everyone gobbles it up. The people that engage, that are interested in it, we put them on a separate email list. And then that email list grows, and we use that as our launch list. The other thing we do is we start posting, something's coming soon. This is not, reinventing the wheel here. And then at the time of product launch, we just use our attribution links to know, like, from what platform what worked, and get some sales from there. But we have traffic coming from a lot of different directions. So that's how I would use it if you have it. I'm gonna leave it there just because I know most people don't have it, and I don't think it's gonna be very helpful if we keep going too deep into it. And Carmen's giving me the look. Your listing. This is really important right here. I sometimes will change the listing pretty rapidly upon starting. Your listing, you can get the best people in the world to do it. It's not meant to be this static thing engraved in stone that just sits there forever. It should be adapting and evolving. My listing creation and main image strategies have been really heavily influenced by a YouTube course that Tom and I took, where they talk about a TTH method, title, thumbnail, hook, and how in the YouTube universe, the heaviest lift you have to do is the scripting and the recording of the video and the post-production. Like all that's the hard part. It takes a lot of time and resources. A lot of people start there, and then afterwards they're like, let's just create a thumbnail for this product, which is the thing that you decide whether you're going to click on and watch the thing for, and then you wind up creating a thumbnail that's best fitting this thing you just created. And in the people that are really good with YouTube know that it's done reverse. That you start with your thumbnail and your hook, because nothing else matters after that if it can't get the clicks. You create something that can do its best to get the click, the title and the thumbnail. And then once somebody clicks, they got to be hooked or they're gone. Most people that bail from a video, they bail like within the first 30 seconds. They either like it or they don't. And if you can get past that first 30 seconds, they won you, and you'll probably go at least halfway after that. So influencing that, like that being a big influence, I'm starting to call Amazon listings that fit that model launchpad listings. And I'm breaking it out into 3 different areas. One of them is, first of all, title. Your title's job is ranking. Like that's the main use of your title, and it's to rank. It obviously it can't just be written for the algorithm, but in my opinion, its main goal is to rank. Your bullets should be full bore on conversion. Like your bullets need to convert. And then your A+, your story, images, those need to be the things that handle your objections. So they need to overcome objections. And the reason, I said it last, but it comes first, because visually they're gonna see your main image first. And if you don't overcome the main objection that somebody has from buying this visually, like with the keyword in the main image, yes, I'm on the right page, you know? If you don't overcome that immediately, they're gone. People just don't read in the US. And sticking with the funny example I shared with you guys last time, it was Burger King and I'm forgetting the other one, and another company. This company decided to go head to head with Burger King's Quarter Pounder, or is a Quarter Pounder McDonald's, or? Huh? Quarter Pounder McDonald's. So somebody wanted to go head to head with the Quarter Pounder, and they came out with the Third Pounder, and they sold it at the half price, the same price as the Quarter Pounder, and it didn't catch on. And the reason it didn't catch on afterwards, when they polled everybody, like, why did you not buy ours? Third Pounder was why would you want to? Why would I pay the same amount for less? And it was because 1 and a 4 is bigger than a 3, and that's just not how the world works. So like, people, you can't give people, yeah, you can't, you assume a lot. Like that really changes the way like I approach main images and how much text I'm gonna put in my product detail page. People don't read. Yeah, somebody can. If you can look up the Quarter Pounder, Third Pounder story, and you'll see it. If somebody can look it up. Yeah.
Carlos, main image. Is Amazon opened up or been a little more flexible with what you can have on the main image? Because before they used to say, oh, just have a plain and white background and just the product, and I know people sometimes push it a little bit with the creative.
No, their wording is still the same on it, but you still should be pushing.
If you're there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, you still, what's showing on the screen for people?
Just, it's a blank screen behind you.
But you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
But you were, that was black for a second.
Oh, okay, thank you. So yeah,
It was A and W.
A and W decided to go head to head and like win the battle for the Quarter Pounder, and they lost. Pretty embarrassing to us as a country, but that they lost. So I call these launchpad listings. You need to make sure you have a launchpad listing. So immediately, if you see that your title is not helping you rank, that your bullets are not helping you convert, and that your main images are not overcoming objections, you need to modify them. Like, not in a week, not when you have budget, this is a launch, do it now. One of the ways you're gonna see this is you get reviews and somebody says, this is much, you start getting a bunch of, 3 stars and 2 stars saying, this is so much smaller than I thought. It's like, oh, well, let's get ahead of this objection. Let's show the scale of this thing in the main image. Maybe we're putting a coin next to it or setting it next to something, but you gotta make sure that your A+, your brand story, your images are focused on overcoming objections and not, how can I just replicate everything that I got above? How are we on time? Oof, I gotta move a little faster. Choose your launch keywords carefully. I think, I used to be where I used to try to go after like 10 to 20 keywords at like main keywords at launch time. I've pared that down to 5. Like, I'm going all in on 5 and I'm gonna win those 5 and then I'm gonna start building out. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there, but that's just my take on it. What I will say on this is, I'm saying for my ad campaigns and like, well, yeah, no, it's how I'm structuring my titles, what I'm prioritizing. Remember, it's not a static thing, it should evolve. It should add more words later, but more keywords later. But for what I'm going at in the beginning, I want to be crystal clear with Amazon as to like what my product is and what I want to be about and what I want to win for. But like, say this product again, it's a gimbal, but I might, it would be a horrible idea, but I might say, you know what? I use it here on the table all the time because I think it like evokes like creativity, right? So I could be tabletop piece. Gimbal, great for cameras, tabletop piece, paperweight, also good to use as a self-defense bat when you're walking outside at night. You know, you could put all these things and you would think it's a good idea because you're gonna get in front of more people. It's a really bad thing because you're gonna pay to get in front of all those people. So you see this a lot with, Brandon actually has an example that he gave a long time ago that I thought was like the perfect product. Because in the group, over 11 years, I've seen a lot of people have kids. And it never fails, either the mom or the husband will come in on behalf of the mom or something and say, we're launching a diaper caddy. Because it becomes such a big part of your life. You can't go anywhere without this diaper caddy. And I've never seen anyone succeed with a diaper caddy. It's pretty much owned by Chinese factories selling it direct. But what happens is when they launch the diaper caddy, it's not just a diaper caddy. It's not a backpack diaper caddy. It's a diaper caddy that's great for the beach, great for your car. It's also great for your truck. It's good on the go. It's great for sports. It tags all these different things. It's small, it's ergonomic, it's big, it's everything. And you come up for everything in that case, and you pay for it, and you rapidly run out of budget, and confused, doesn't work. Much narrower in my focus. And once I know those keywords, whatever number you pick, just make sure that your listing is structured in a way that supports that.
Good question. The alt text on Ecom.
Yeah.
Apparently right now it does not index. Do you know anything about it?
Doesn't index where? The alt image tag, alt image text on A+, it's debatable as to whether it, I feel it does, even though some people say it doesn't. But it indexes on Google and it indexes on it.
Amazon.
Right. I've not heard that.
Like about 10 days ago, people started talking about it.
Yeah, no, I'm hearing about that for the first time now. Yeah, I'll totally go check it out, but I'm not, I would have thought I would have heard about it, but no. Do you mind describing like what that is so other people can?
Yeah, well, when you're setting up your A+ content, you can add some keywords on it. People are not able to see it, but it's good for put some words in Spanish, misspellings, so you can index for those keywords. And again, like, customers, they cannot see those words, but it's good for indexing and kind of like as well letting Amazon know what your product is. And my understanding is that those, like ago, people started talking about Amazon change the SEO and it's not indexing.
Thank you, man. Yeah, so this is what he's talking about with A+. Behind these, when you're setting them up, you can add keywords in here. And let's say Lego, but I bet you a lot of people misspell this and put let go. Not misspell it, but like they put let go.
Lego with double G.
Or Lego, yeah, with double G.
What about your product images? Can you put alt text in there?
You could put whatever you want there. I don't know that it does anything anymore.
Shopify gives you that option.
Yeah,
I didn't know how.
different universe.
Yeah.
We're also talking about here a really small percentage of what gets you to succeed. It's just in that little edge becomes a really big deal, and it could take up the majority of the conversation. But if you figure out a way, like what we're, just to put in perspective, like what we're talking about, in a really competitive space, like that might be the majority of your week figuring this out. But if you pick the wrong product, if you don't have a great image, if you didn't differentiate, you could kill it on your alt image tag keywords. You're not going to do anything, right? Yeah. So the success on Amazon really is, I'd say, 95% a mastery of the basics. It's just when you do if you do it, there's maybe a few other people in your niche that are also doing it, and then it becomes a dogfight. And then it's that 5% that's left, and it's like, who's gonna master that? That's my take on it anyway. All right, Vine and UGC stack. So we're getting into some strategies here. If you're not enroll your products in Vine. There's a counter argument to Vine, and that is Vine reviewers suck. And I used to say it wasn't, but they allow Tom to, no, I'm just kidding. No. By the way, congrats, Tom's now an official Vine reviewer. Yeah, he went to Seattle and threatened them. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm a Vine reviewer as well. So when you send products to Vine reviewers are humans. Some of them, their reviews carry a lot more weight. So when they leave you a positive review, if they leave you a negative review, it's also bad. They're not obligated to. So I log into my Vine dashboard. I'm able to get, we have 2 accounts on our latest one. We can get up to 8 products a day, and they sent to us for free, and we can review them. As a seller, I don't do 1-star reviews. Like I don't know the whole story. Like I guess there's a scenario where maybe something could happen if like the person sent me like an FU note or something. I'd be like, really? You know? But I don't do it. So there's a small percentage of products that I get that I don't have to review. And I would just let it fall into that before I leave a 1-star review. It's mostly just like 4s and 5s. Like if I think you're a 1-star, it's a 4, and everything else is a 5. But not all reviewers are like that. Most of them are not sellers. It's rare that you have a seller who's also a Vine reviewer. And when they leave you a bad review, the ones that are like that are not sellers, it's quite difficult to get a 5-star from them. Like they'll leave you this glowing 6-paragraph review of 4 stars. For some reason, very difficult to get 5 stars. And a 3, 2, and a 1 is pretty damaging to your listing, like we just mentioned. So there's an argument that, well, don't enroll your products in Vine because you're not guaranteed the 5-star reviews. What I have found, because of this group and you guys coming to me saying, look what happened when I went to Vine. If you get clobbered in Vine with negative reviews, you are going to get clobbered when you enroll your products and start selling them direct. It's not a Vine issue, it's your product issue. You really want to find that out sooner rather than later. Like burying your head in the sand and thinking because you didn't enroll in Vine is going to make this thing disappear is 100% false. I don't think you should do this, but there is an even better argument, which would be get your product that you're going to launch, grab 30 of them, create an ASIN, enroll it in Vine, and see how the chips fall, and then go in and do a separate ASIN, the right one, do all that, enroll it, and see where it goes. Because if the first one falls into, you get like 10 negative reviews, you know to pump the brakes instead of sending a whole bunch of products to FBA that you're going to have to recall and like crush your profit margins. Huh? Okay, yeah, so I was almost going to say it. An ASIN is anytime you add a product to the catalog, so like if you want to add your backpack that we were talking about earlier, it has a UPC code. You're gonna enroll it, you're gonna hit upload, and then Amazon assigns it its own version of that. It's called an ASIN or ASIN, and it's Amazon Store Identification Number. So all products will get that. So it'll get a permanent ASIN, and you can find a product's ASIN in the product information section here, and you'll see it here. This is what an ASIN looks like. Right. So when you go to create an inbound FBA shipment, and FBA is sending it to their warehouse, when you fulfillment by Amazon, when you have all those backpacks, you're like, I don't have time during the day to run home and package this and send it out. Instead, you're going to get probably like 500 of them, and you're going to put them in a box, and you're going to send them to Amazon's warehouse. And then they're going to hold them, and that's called FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. And if they have your products in FBA, and one of us with a Prime account wants to buy it, that's how we can get it. There's exceptions, but that's pretty much the norm. Yeah, we order it, and it shows you can get this tonight or in 2 days. It's because they have possession of the products, and they're sending it. But to get it to them, you have to create an inbound shipment to FBA, from you to them. And when you do it, the way you communicate what you're sending is, here is the ASIN that I want to send inventory for. Make sense? Yeah. So Vine and UGC, enroll your products in Vine. Like, if you're scared they're going to leave you a bunch of negative reviews, then you might have a reason to be scared, but it has nothing to do with Vine. Find that out sooner rather than later. Look at all feedback first as a way to improve your product. It is rare, unless you're in the Brazilian cosmetics category, it is rare that a competitor or the country of manufacturer is actually out to sabotage you on your product.
If it's a consumable product or a supplement, it's a little bit.
Supplements is a very cutthroat category, yes.
You don't see the results right away.
Yeah. But in the supplement category, I would say it's probably a 30% chance it's your competitor, or it's just a customer with like unreasonable expectations. Yeah, or like anything, especially if you have to dealing with a guy, and the guy's like, I'm gonna get all my hair back if I take this product said, and it doesn't, like, trouble. Or I've seen it a lot if it's a woman and it's more of like an acne or some topical or whatever, and this thing doesn't like clear everything up, high likelihood negative reviews inbound. But if you get a bunch of stuff coming back saying, every time I use this, I wake up with a rash, you should probably pay attention. You probably need to check out your product, right? Would you use your product?
Oh, use your products before you sell.
Vine has a limit, right? You have to be new or someone.
No, you could.
Can't be for an established brand or product.
Your product has to have under 30 reviews.
Okay.
Yeah. Once it exceeds 30, I don't think you can. Yeah. All right. So that's covering the Vine. The Vine UGCs, we've talked about this several times. UGC's gotten really fun. So I'm going to stand up for a second on this one. So when I use the word influencer, or like, especially for Amazon influencer or TikTok creator and stuff, I'm trying to get like some vocabulary that clearly talks about what I'm referring to, because a UGC, or user-generated content creator, is not the same as an influencer. But if you're in the Amazon influencer program, the majority of people there are not influencers, they're content creators. So it's kind of confusing to me. So what I say is you have, yeah. So what I like to say is that you have content creators, right? You have UGC, and that's somebody that buys the product. It's not produced at all. There's not high content creation value, and they got their cachava in the mail, and they show a picture of their cachava. It's like a protein shake. They show their cachava recipe. You're done. It looks really authentic. People can be like, yeah, that's not brand created. This is somebody who really likes this. This is their testimonial. Then you have content creators. So technically, if you're a UGC person, you're technically creating content, but I feel like for the purposes of this definition, it's important. A content creator, they've invested in equipment, right? They have nice lighting, they might have nice audio, it looks produced, there's an editor involved. This is a content creator. So if you're a brand and you want to get some videos of your product, if you're looking for something, you're like, I just want people to like feel like that's them drinking it, you probably are looking for user-generated content. But if you're trying to get someone to create content for your brand and you're like, maybe I want brand that looks like brand first videos, or this is my ambassador or something, you're probably working with a content creator, right? The next one you have is an influencer. And your influencer is probably a content creator. The person probably, because they're an influencer, has spent a lot of time investing in their content creation. But the difference between a content creator and an influencer is they have a following, right? And they can be a nano, micro, Kardashian, and everything in between. Like, but that's the only difference between the two. And then you have influencer with sign-on. And sign-on is, I'm gonna say Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan, what I just told you, Joe Rogan falls where? Is it UGC? Is it content creator? Or is it influencer? He's an influencer, right? So if Joe Rogan does a product video on lipstick, right? There's gonna be somebody in his audience that would be like, oh, Joe Rogan's talking about lipstick, you know, because it's not all guys that listen to Joe Rogan, and maybe it's like, some people will get the lipstick, but you know you're not really leveraging Joe Rogan's crowd with that. So in that case, he is an influencer because he has an audience and he creates great content, but he doesn't have sign-on.
Oh, you mean like cosign?
Cosign, yeah, cosign. He doesn't have cosign. He doesn't have cosign. So cosign would be if he decides to do a rugged outdoor backpack, a supplement. Totally different thing that's gonna happen now. Like you're gonna go out of stock. Everyone's gonna be happy. So you have UGC, content creator, you have influencer, and you have influencer with cosign. Some of them can overlap a little bit. So you can work with an influencer and in one product have cosign and in one product don't. Cool? I feel like it's important or we're gonna get really lost because when we talk about now, hey, it's launch time, go out there and do your UGC stack. It's like, well, who do I talk to? And when you have these definitions, it should give you some clarity as to who you should approach and why. If you're looking for some Amazon influencer videos to show up on your listing, it's important because people are trying to overcome objections. What I said earlier, you want the images on your listing to overcome objections. Seeing themselves or somebody who's short, tall, fat, white, black, whatever, seeing themselves a little better is gonna help you convert. So you wanna get those spots full, but you don't wanna reach out to Joe Rogan to do that because it's gonna be cost prohibitive and you don't need it. You just need to find people that fit all those different descriptions who do UGC. And it's gonna cost you almost nothing versus if you went and tried to get an influencer to do it. With me? Is it making sense? Okay.
I'm with you, but I didn't understand cosign.
I'm glad she said cosigns. I was blanking and I was like, I think I'm close. But cosign is if Joe, I don't know, do you have a better definition?
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it's like a slang, it's kind of like, oh, I love this bag, I co-sign it. It's just like approval. It's basically saying you sign off, you sign off on something. So like if somebody, like you say, if I were to co-sign a monster truck, I don't think anyone's interested. But if I were to co-sign something about, I don't know, hair, then maybe they might be. So you want someone to co-sign it and like falls in line with.
Yeah, you could get someone for Athlon Rub who has a big audience. But if that big audience is not directed to your product, then you have an influencer. Some people will buy, but you're not gonna get that pop. Whereas
Joe Rogan would be my go.
he would be your influencer that has cosign. If he did it, where you see this sometimes, you'll find someone who has a supplement, like something for tinnitus, and they're like, man, everything would change if I could get a doctor to say on video, like, this is the product I use to treat my patients. So what you just did is you just got a short little video, and because the person's a doctor, they have cosign. Yeah, similar to an endorsement, yes.
And
Right.
this is from like, I remember like in the 90s, people would say like, oh, he co-signed it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember LL Cool oh, Cool J co-signed.
Yeah, I don't remember the terminology from back then, yeah,
I
but
mean, like,
yeah.
That's been around for, yeah, like a long time, yeah.
But it's extra important now, otherwise you're gonna waste a lot of money and a lot of time, and you're just like, I'm doing the influencer thing or I'm doing the UGC thing and nothing's happening. And it's just, you're not lining your stuff up right. You know, everyone's not an influencer and everyone's not a UGC. Well, everyone can be a UGC. You see that? It's just, if the person's doing UGC content, that just means, say they're reviewing some products. If they have really great content that they create, we would just call them a content creator. So when you're launching a product, we're doing this to make money, and who you pick is really important or you're gonna waste money. So we talked about UGC being great for those Amazon influencer spots. But now let's say you wanna drive some external traffic, right? One of them that's really great right now is TikTok, that everyone's talking about. It really is. It's also very expensive. So if you have a product, like your pencil sharpener that you're doing, I've seen some of you like come up to me and say, look, I wanna launch this. I was like, yeah, I got $1,000 a month ready to drop them all on ads. And I'm like, well, that's, first of all, for that category, that's really not anything to put into ad spend per month. And you're talking about carving some of that out and paying for influencers. Like, that's a really bad idea. So you really have to have a budget to go the TikTok route. The other one, there needs to be some sort of product fit. So if your product doesn't really do well on TikTok, there's a chance that it's gonna do good, but you really need to hit with a lot of different creators that really know how to spin your product right for it to work. There's a Discord that I recommend called Your First Dollar, right? Highly recommend it. We're making money off of it. And it's called Your First Dollar. I could send you the link. It's also an affiliate link. It supports the community, would be a huge help, right? But it's called Your First Dollar. It's gonna cost you $50 a month. And they teach you how to be a creator, which if you want to ignore that, that's fine. I don't think you should. I think at least taking it as if you were going to try to be a creator is important, because it's going to help you understand the person that's on the other side that you're about to deal with as a brand. And then you're going to go to like their promotions tab or something like that, and you're going to just post your offers. And you're going to say something like, I'm looking for somebody to do 15 to 30 videos a month put on retainer for 15 to 30 videos a month about my product. And here's a brief of like what I'm looking for those 15 to 30 videos, and I'll pay you X. And then people can apply. It's a little more complicated than that, not much, but I'm just trying to like gloss over some of it here. I think going into Your First Dollar, going into Creator Connections, the Creator Connect, which is another Discord, and there's like 3 or 4 more Discords that we're doing really well in. I recommend starting with one. Your First Dollar would be a great one, and start picking them off and getting those creators. They're having a blast back there. They're laughing.
It's insane what they're doing. GB Farley, Rob the Bank, all these guys, they just...
Well, Rob the Bank just had his...
But this guy is in another...
He just got destroyed.
What happened?
Yeah. He just got destroyed.
Rob Bank?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
Well, I don't know if you guys have been following.
Because of the wife?
No, well, the wife, that's bad too. She left him, yeah. She left him. He learned yeah, he's getting half. She's going for half.
Wait, he just put, listen.
I know.
This is so random, but I don't really pay that much attention, like I just followed it when I started doing your research.
Yeah.
He just put up a post like legit 48 hours ago, finds a woman that this,
Yeah.
and blah, blah, blah.
I think he was trying to like make up ground.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, as of yesterday, there's going to be a divorce.
Oh my God.
She.
From a friend in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's really. We're on a stream, so I want to get into it more. It's probably a little too much as it is, but it's bad. It's really bad. The other part of it is, sadly, a couple hours later, he finds out mom has cancer. It's pretty bad. So that's really bad. But about 2 weeks before, apparently they flew too close to the sun, and Amazon completely removed evil goods from Amazon because of the TikTok manipulation, algorithm manipulation. So they removed a high 8-figure brand without blinking. Not a shock, not the first time. They've removed 9s.
Is there, can you come back from that?
Not like that. Not like that. No, not like that, and not with that much, public-facing videos and that much stuff. How he's openly talked. Well, he dances in a black hat world.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's really good.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I saw
Brilliant
them
guy.
the other day walking by my house, I shook hands with them.
Yeah. Yeah, great, great energy, but
Wait, can I ask you?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's now, but it's a question regarding your first dollar, and let me ask you after.
okay,
Let me ask you now.
sure. Flip a coin.
So I am on your first dollar,
Mhm.
and I love it, and I've been learning a lot, and I do a lot of product reviews.
Mhm.
But I've always done product reviews on my Amazon for years. And now I'm going, I should be careful because I don't want them to see like I buy, I review. So I started going back and I'm like, oh, there's a deodorant that I've been buying like for years. Let me go review that. Let me just make it look a little more natural. And even someone like the other day was like, oh, did you put the review? I was like, let me wait like 3 days because I don't want it to start looking like
Okay, so
get something I review.
you-
Is that
You 100% do not want to be buying products there and reviewing them.
buying products where?
Buying products from your first dollar and reviewing, because there's some gigs out there that ask you to buy the product to do videos for them, but can you also leave a product review?
Wait, I'm talking, yeah, forget the videos for a second. I'm talking about people on your first dollar, they give you the Amazon link,
Mm-hmm.
you buy the products,
Yeah.
you leave a, whatever, I'll put pictures, legit, whatever, I'll get reimbursed, and they pay you for the.
Right, so you're like, I would remove those reviews if, yeah, if I were you. Well, it will, it's not a matter of if, but when, like, they're gonna pool you together with a bunch of other people that reviewed around that same time when this person gets popped for doing this. And it's one of the things, you'll forever lose your Amazon buyer account. If the buyer account, if your buyer account gets linked to your seller account, you could lose that too. So like you don't want to do it. It's not everything that happens in your first dollar is completely white hat. Yeah, basically that's what they're doing. It's probably like the top of the most egregious sins in the product review world on Amazon.
But let me say this though, that's fine, but like if someone went into my buyer account, I've been reviewing it for years.
No, I
Like
know.
a lot, so it's not like, oh, I bought thousands of it, and now all of a sudden, at least it's like. You got paid for that review.
Yeah.
But how, right, I know, but like how, if it's like. Right, but how could they catch that if it's really filtered in with like.
No, well, the thing is, they don't have to prove it. That's the first one. Like, they don't need to submit evidence to do it. What's going to happen is you just fit a pattern, and it's going to be this. You're not the only person who's getting that product and doing the review.
Okay.
I'll also tell you, and this is where the majority of people get popped. There's an assumption that Amazon's the one who catches you. It's your competitors. It's people there that are just screenshotting and are going to report.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's when the brand gets popped, they offer to turn over everyone that did it, like as part of their POA, so they don't have to wait 90 days to get the money. Like, you have a lot of different arrows that link back to you. Sometimes when it's a software, the software is like, okay, you're suing us. Yeah, we'll comply. Show you everything. So like, to do something like that, it's got to be. Man, those are tough to put together. I know a few of them, and they're really tough.
What's tough to put together?
A group of people to do that type of review manipulation and keep it to where it's safe. It eventually. Yeah, I'm just, my advice. I'm not judging.
No, that's fine. So you're saying just don't do it at all?
Avoid it like the plague. Just have like a snippet ready to send back and say, I'm sorry, we don't do this.
Against TOS.
Yeah.
Well, it's like doing many chat actually.
Right.
Just tell them it's against TOS. Doesn't mean-
How many I've done?
100.
No. No. Is it 10 maybe? Not that many.
Yeah. One will get you suspended at some point. One. And Chris McCabe or no one's going to be able to get you out of that one. Like the last, you want to get Amazon to act, put the media to put a spotlight on them or something, and that spotlight's been on them for a while on this one. Like they would do it if you were a 9-figure seller.
Are you serious?
Yes. Like, it'd be just done, cooked. Fricassé de Candice.
Huh?
Be fricassé de Candice. That would be it. No, they don't. They just, again, they don't need to go out there and search it out. It gets reported to them. Yeah.
You, if you want 10 reviews at a time,
Yeah. So when you're going to go turn these things on, consider how much it's going to cost you to do them. If you have a product that's not that competitive, I think you can do like a join brands rebate key thing, which by the way, rebate key is still working. I don't know why nobody's talking about that, but rebate key is still working. But you can do like a join brands rebate key thing, which I feel like is a very cheap way to get a bunch of influencers. You probably want to get like, I don't know, 30 to 50, put them on a retainer and go that way. One that I'm doing a lot of testing with, that we're about to come out with some case studies with, Stack Influence. I had them on the podcast and we hinted a little bit around them. I was very hesitant about them for a long time. I felt like they were just an overpriced thing, but we've been doing some testing. We did a Stack Influence only launch. We did basically like I hate the word relaunch, but we got a stalled product and we kind of resurrected it with no ads. And then we've used it with ads in an ad launch. So like the brands are gonna have to share what those brands are, and we talk about it. I was handling the ad side, or I was working with the brands, and it worked good. To be fair, let me put an asterisk in this. The products were like cherry picked. We went through like 30 products. We picked the ones that had a history of doing the best. This doesn't mean like every product that this would work for. And I based on those results, and I don't have an affiliate with them or anything like that, based on those results, just I'd have to say what I saw, and that's it. Stack Influence, they've been around since 2017. Yeah, but influencer stuff just got hot, but they were there before it was hot.
I talked to them a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think, influencer stuff, but it really for launch. I see them as a launch strategy.
Yeah. You want
He's always promoting.
who? Stack Influence it was very good. Now, what's a little different is they have a pool of their people of influencers that they use. Now, these people also are in different places, but you can't just go in there and buy it and go on. You have to get on a call with someone. They got to know your product, because they have to say, look, we can do this, but we can't do it for the next 3 months because we already have 8 products that are in the supplement capsule space, and it would be oversaturated on the people we're working on. So they have a pretty good system. They're only limited by the amount they have in the pool and the amount of work that those people have. So they're also looking for creators. So for those of you that are creators, he said that if I knew anyone in the group that wanted to be an influencer and Stack Influence as a creator from the creator side, for me just to do a little bit of due diligence and be like, yes, the person's serious, and that I could do an email intro and get them evaluate. You're still gonna go through an evaluation process with them. He goes, but I'll white glove it and we'll make it happen.
I'm on both sides.
Okay, good.
But as a creator, all you're gonna get is free products.
Right.
Brand, but as a more stronger player as a launch than any influencer marketing. They say they have big people, but I don't know what big influencer will work for you, no money. They're just working hard.
Yeah, he said something cool about that, and that's that the reason why some of these bigger brands bigger creators would be willing to work with them is because they felt like they couldn't get the attention of the brand, or the creator themselves said, I don't feel like accepting money. When you give it to a bigger creator, you're like, I don't know if I want to work with you until I can see that I can make a bunch of wins with this type of content. So to be able to get the foot in the door on the relationship, get a product, no pressure, let me see what I can do on this. If this is good, then they won't keep the relationship on the platform. At that case, they'll get the content they created and they'll backdoor it to the brand and say, yeah, I want to work with you. Like, here's my terms. Let's do it. I thought that was a pretty plausible thing, yeah. Okay, I'm doing the same thing again. We're not even halfway. I might need to like break this in 2 and do like a part 2 on this next week. But I'll try to go faster. Like Walmart soft launch. I'm finding doing Walmart soft launches at the same time as an Amazon launch is helping. I'm seeing, to be honest, I don't think I've seen it enough to be able to say 100%, but it really looks like if you have a launch going on Amazon at the same time as on Walmart as your Amazon launch, that you seem to have almost the same type of TikTok effect where there's a percentage of people that are seeing it on Walmart, why it's getting those extra eyeballs, and they're just jumping over and saying, I'm not buying this from Walmart, I'm going to Amazon. So, so much so that moving forward, we're recommending it. Controlling the pricing narrative, we touched on this earlier, start higher, discount lightly if you need to do it, really lightly to try to maintain that higher price point, and never race to the bottom. Yeah, race to the bottom means dropping the price and playing chicken with who's willing to make a nickel longer. Join creator connections early. Again, that's just trying to get as many creators in the pipeline willing to mess with your product and do reviews on it as possible. I put some stuff here as like a launch readiness checklist. This checklist could go on forever. So I put a few here that I felt most people don't have on their list. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is not a comprehensive list of everything, otherwise I would need to talk for 2.5 hours just line by line. The checklist would be long. But inventory quality assurance, I'm gonna say that's, make sure you have all the docs that Amazon could potentially ask for you about your product so that you could supply it in a ready time and not just stall out. So a material safety data sheet on your backpack showing that it won't combust. If you don't already ask the factory for that and have that, you could have turned on ads, had all this influencer stuff going on Amazon and said, no, we shut down your listing until you can send us this. And you're like in a week and a half, 2 weeks of going back, it's a holiday in China, like it could get ugly. So, I call it an inventory quality assurance, like have everything you need there, ready to go, listing polished, your vines enrolled, your PPCs live. And if you're using, well, you can't use them anymore this early, but if you're able to use coupons at all, make sure they're active. Here's some milestones. I tried to make this as if you're not a 16-year full-time seller with 17 brands under your belt, right? And I'd be like, okay, if we were just kind of starting this and we had access to a group where we could ask questions, what would these milestones look like? 10 reviews, 7 days. I think you want to shoot to get those. You could jump in here and sit, but we're going to start at 4, but you're welcome to sit in here though if you want until then. Try to get 10 reviews in 7 days. It's aggressive. It's very aggressive, so it's not a weak goal. But try to get 10 reviews in 7 days. Yeah, I don't care where it gets from, just 10 reviews. Hopefully 10 5-star reviews. Otherwise, around 14 days, CTR and CVR targets that I have, so like click-through rate and conversion rate targets that I'm looking at around 14 days. I'd like my click-through rate to be about 0.5% at least. Otherwise, that's where you should be digging in to say like something's wrong here, like, or something needs to be a lot better quicker. And I'd like for my conversion rate to be 10% or higher. It's aggressive, but like those are some milestones that I'm looking at. It's day 14, I'm dialing it in, like, let's make it happen. 30 days, by 30 days I need to see that. You should see it earlier, but by 30 days, I've pretty much accomplished my mission of where I need to rank those 5 core keywords that I'm going for. I should be, I better be, or I'd be very upset, not top of page 1 or deep high up onto page 1 for my 5 main keywords that I'm actually trying to rank for. Around 45 days, I want to be profitably ad scaling, not profitably over the whole company, but I mean, I have a core group of keywords that I'm profitably converting on. At this point, I think it's fair to mention I'm not profiting on ranking. As I'm trying to rank up to the top of page 1, I'm not also profitably ranking up to the top of page 1. Yeah, it's, my answer is going to be,
Depends on a lot of things. Some people say that you should do all of them. Some people say that just.
I'm definitely not all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently there is, depending on the category, I would say. But if you do, for example, broad or phrase, you could be paying less because it's not as competitive as that. Depending on the category again. You're negating the right way than exact, because everyone wants to be an exact, so it's always like, you know.
Yeah,
supply and demand, right?
I'd say it's a very few amount of groups. I'm very heavily focused on exact. Profitability is not even on my mind. Like nobody's talking about profitability. It's owning it, and it's usually wildly unprofitable. That'll come later once we settle and we stick our position. And I'm also going for branded search terms, branded industry search terms. I should own those because I have Walmart going on. I'll have some influencer stuff going on, and somebody's going there and they're searching my brand name. I don't want somebody else winning that result when I should be winning for my brand name. And then I'll definitely go after, mediocre, inferior listings that are my competitors. So I'll go after competitors too at that point. But that's about it. And then I'll build out and get complicated.
How do you go after
ASIN targeting.
Huh?
ASIN targeting. 45 days to profitable scaling, 60 days. If you have multiple products, around 60 days, I'll start like cross-promoing with my brand and targeting myself. Again, I put those together just because I feel like most people don't do those and they don't have those, all the other normals. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have a lot of other stuff, which you should. Brand story, A+ premium. There's a lot of hacks to get it, use them. It definitely helps with conversions and everything matters in the beginning. With AI right now, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have a really nice brand story. Like, you used to have to pay a lot to have a writer do it and the graphics and make it all line up. You don't have to do it. Like, you literally could put the competitors in that have the good brand story and talk about what you're doing and it can create it. But like, have a really, really great brand story. Test price increases early. So not only am I not lowering my price or trying not to lower my price, after 60 days, I'm trying to test, can I raise my price? If I didn't need to bring any discounts into play, I am testing after 60 days how to raise my price. And I'm maybe doing it 5 to 10% at a time. But, well, not maybe. I don't want to get my buy box suppressed, but we're testing it maybe 5 to 10% at a time. I want to see, I'm intentionally going to hit my momentum here because I'm going to keep testing this until I know where I'm hit and I'm not uncomfortable, and then I'll dial it back. But I want to know how much profit I can get out of this product. It will not be easier later. You're just going to get super comfortable and you're not going to want to touch it. And I just test it here. So I'm doing that. Unless, the only reason I wouldn't be doing this right after 60 days is my CTR, my CVR is nowhere where I want it to be. And I'm triaging. I'm basically in like triage mode on my listing. Brand referral bonus, you definitely want to set this up. You can earn 10% back. Since I'm going to be driving a lot of external traffic, I'm definitely turning on Google Ads. Again, unprofitable, in some cases wildly unprofitable. Every now and then you find one though that is amazingly profitable. Definitely turning on Google Ads. You have a Walmart soft launch going on. Hopefully you have a TikTok shop stuff going on with some influencers on TikTok. You have Google Ads running. You have your Amazon ads running. You have your email stuff going if you have it, your stuff from your community. You got all that going on and you're dialing in on 5 keywords. That is the ingredients for a very successful launch for me. And that's it. I ran through the last ones like really fast. We're like 9 minutes over. So sorry about that. Any questions? I haven't announced it yet, but where's Raul? It's probably going to be about product selection. Yeah. Putting it out there again, because I know last time I'll say this, guys, putting it out there a little bit because I said it in the front of the beginner hour. And again, next week, we have our event, which we're going to announce. And then at 4 p.m., we have people coming in from eBay, hopefully some eBay ad people. And we have an eBay event starting at 4 p.m. All right? So make sure you come out, bring a lot of notes. We'll have some food and some coffee, and we'll have a good time. Remember also today, I'm gonna be moving a little fast because at 4 p.m. we're starting another meetup group here, which is our YouTube meetup group. You are welcome to stay for it, but I'll have to be starting another meetup group here, so I won't be going to the taco place today. All right, yep.
Simple question, Carlos.
I doubt it, I doubt it.
Yeah, so let's say you're selling supplements.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We have a bottle of supplements, let's say, I don't know, it is vitamin D, let's put it this way, right? 180 capsules, right? And we're launching, 320 capsule vitamin D on a sale listing, just to get a better margin and then to get the AOV up. And so the cost per capsule will be lower, so it's going to be a little more. The question to it is this: if there's no direct keywords that would describe the second variation of the package, nobody's looking for 320 capsules. There's no other keywords that would describe the variation that would make me want to launch PPC campaigns so I can rank on those keywords. And obviously, the second variation, the big bottle, is going to be pricier, so the CTR is going to be on it lower than cheaper price.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably look exactly the same. I mean, same thing, but basically, right? Besides trying to run exact match keywords on my keywords that I'm currently running on 180 capsule variation test, just to get an idea which one's going to perform better. Maybe some of them are going to work better than a smaller one, right? What would you suggest? How to approach this launch?
For the additional keywords to launch the secondary one?
Yeah, we just added it to a listing. We just let it go and then just let it collect extra,
Well, if it's on a listing that already has a lot of eyeballs on it, it's going to pick up some anyway.
Correct.
I would target your own one. Well, they're both one packs. I would target your 80 or your 60 capsule product with a display ad. Because it's yourself, it shouldn't be that expensive. I would also look for keywords like, I agree, no one's going to be searching for 320, but like multi-month supply, like words that tie into supply, like 4-month supply, 5-month supply. I would look, if they got to take one a day and there's 320, it's an annual.
Yeah,
Like,
but it doesn't make any sense to
No.
rank it, because
No.
other variation, just ETR is going to be so much better, right?
yeah, that really doesn't come into play unless the variation has its own unique keyword set.
Yeah.
And this one doesn't. Kind of like, well, AAA batteries at least has a different set than AA batteries, but
I mean, the only good thing is like now I can afford to spend more money.
yeah, you could dominate the ad, yeah.
My AOV is so much better.
It'll be great for a headline ad. Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Vitamin D, hopefully it's not vitamin D, I'll tell you that. For that, you should get what is that? What's the little thing you take for your stomach and you drink? Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
You should do apple cider vinegar pills too while you're at it. Yeah, no, of course we will. Good to see you, as always. Yeah. All right, thank you. I clapped for myself to get the clap.